All right, calling to order the June 23rd, 2026 Town of Somerville Design Review Board meeting. First order of business is approval of the June draft minutes. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Jesse, you have anything? It says reviews right here or?
So,
Okay,
all right, now, in terms of, would you like me to introduce the Vantage Apartments? Right, so, first item is the Vantage Apartments. Previous meeting, board requested that the applicant look for context in the area for their architectural palette, noting the farmhouse property nearby. I suggest the applicant look at simple roof lines, simulated divided light windows, pedestrian connectivity, and appropriate screening for utilities. And then, staff does not have concerns with the overall site layout as this project was approved after the UDO was put in place and proposed site has only been slightly revised. As for architecture, staff would like more information regarding the in-garage door design for the car garage handicap elevation. I will turn it over to Aaron.
Well, good afternoon, y'all. My name is Aaron Schmidt, project manager with Seaman Whiteside. And the civil engineering side of it also represent the landscape architecture side of it. I will tell you that the architect is on his way. He's going to come in on 2 wheels. And so we will
want us to push you later in the agenda?
if it's all right with y'all, it may be best just so that he's not flustered when he comes up here. So, but I appreciate y'all's consideration of that. So,
Jesse, is there anything we need to do to make that happen?
yeah.
Number 2 on the agenda also is missing their engineer for the same reason, traffic issues. So
Number three
apparently
is-
we can move to number 3.
Same problem, number
problem.
3.
All right.
Who's ready to go?
Number 4? Number 4 is ready.
Roll on number 4, which
All right, come on,
we're the we're the applicant for that as well.
Pretend all that never happened.
Yeah.
You're all right, all right.
Yeah, no, not a problem. For a second there, I thought we were in an auction.
Jesse, do we need to formally revise the agenda or anything?
All right, let me briefly introduce this one. Number 4, Lincoln Square. correct? No,
Oh.
sorry, gotta go to the next one. My bad. That was number 3.
Sir? Yes, sir. Should be a pretty short and sweet package, Jesse. There it is. Yep.
Here we go. All right. So this is just basically a revision to the architecture. So there are renderings of the previously approved townhomes and revised conceptual design. We just need confirmation that it won't require any site changes. And from a zoning perspective, the revised conceptual design does not pose any conflicts with ordinance requirements.
So yeah, so like I said, Aaron Schmidt, with Seaman Whiteside, Jesse, to confirm, yes, there won't be any site changes. No site infrastructure changes, at all. In fact, all the site infrastructure, the pads, all of it is finished and on the ground already. So what you see in front of you highlighted in red are the lots that would be, that have this slight change in architecture associated with them that we're going to discuss with you today. To give you a background, so this went through the full DRB process back in 2021, I think, 22, and worked through full approval there. Obviously, at that point in time, it was some different members of the design review board at that time. I know that some of you guys may be familiar with seeing it at that time. We're able to work through with AMH as the applicant. Now AMH is looking to sell a portion of these lots. They are still developing a portion of them, but sell a portion of them to Pulte, who is the applicant associated with this submittal here. This just being a conceptual submittal, we're really just looking for your feedback, but to give you the background from our perspective, the lots and the layouts, everything that you see, nothing will change in that regard. Really, the only thing that's changing here is the sticks and bricks, the facade, and the unit itself. So with me today, I also have Mr. Adam Tennant, who is representative of Pulte, who can talk more to the architecture side of things. But really, since this is conceptual, as I like to say with most conceptual hearings that we do, we're really just here to get y'all's input. Love to get as much feedback as we can. That way we can sharpen this thing, listen to y'all, and make the best product for the town of Somerville here.
I have a quick question. Are these going to be for rent or for sale?
So these will these be for rent? They'll still be for rent or for sale. So they'll be the fee simple. So they will be for sale mixed in with the for rent portion of the community as well that AMH has.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Number one's here. Adam, do you want to come and talk to the architecture just real quick?
Adam Tennant with Pulte Group, and as Aaron mentioned, we're basically in contract to purchase property. We don't own it at this point. We are at the very early stages of our due diligence. So what you have before you is kind of our first iteration of it. I'm going to tell you, because of our early stages, I'm not going to have the answers to all your questions, but I will be prepared definitely as we come around. But as Aaron referred to, would love to get as much feedback as we can and be able to respond to the comments that you all have. We've got 2 floor plans, 6 different elevation styles for those floor plans. And then you see a sample of a street scene of the 6-plex that we have there. To Aaron's point, we're inheriting the site plan. We're going to have 3 plexes, 4-plex, 5-plex, 6-plex, similar to what's already out there. The pads are already created. So we really are just revising the architecture, and appreciate staff showing kind of what was already approved from the body and what we're proposing. And you see a lot of similarities, some porch detailing, vertical and horizontal siding. We've got some pop outs. I think we've got some good roof breaks in there to break up these buildings. So, yeah, it's like I said, it's, we're taking our first charge at this and we appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all.
Can you walk through what was approved versus what you are, because I don't know.
Sure. So, that's a great question. I can speak to that real quick. So obviously what you see up above, if you were to scroll up real quick, Jesse. So this is what is being proposed now and the floor plans up above it. And the black and white elevations for the renderings down below, the kind of the more finalized renderings, that was what was previously approved
That one.
for AMH.
This is what was previously.
This was previously right here. So this, that one, and the next one right there. And then the back. Yeah.
Yep.
That's correct.
And then we don't have the rear elevations as shown there, but on the black and white conceptual, you can see, if you page up, if you go up a little bit, it's hard to pick up in those drawings, but we've got some optional porch detailing on the rear of those, of the backs to kind of help the massing on and the articulation to the rear elevation. Great. Thank you very much for pulling that up.
These have always been alley fed.
They are.
Peter, any thoughts?
Are the other built residents 3 stories? Or is this gonna be the only 3-story section of this development?
This would be the 3-story section of this development. The other townhomes are a 2-story product.
Have you looked at how that blends together? Is it meant to blend together?
So it is pretty separated. You have the block of townhome units that you see to the plan west there, separated by Slice Drive. And then you have a component of townhomes that we are looking at and presenting to you today that are separate from the ones over there. So they're not necessarily blended within one another. They're kind of like 2 separate blocks, if you will, at that point. Which then kind of gives it a different type of urban feel, if you will.
Are you sharing amenities? Is this amenity center just for the Pulte, or is it for the whole development?
No, so it's for the full development. And it's already underway. It's being constructed currently.
Almost done, right?
I think they're about 70 to 75% of the way there.
Do you have any photographs, or when you come back, can you bring some photographs of the existing 2-story structures?
Yes, sir. Definitely can.
My initial take, just looking at this, is that the 3-story lacks character in contrast with the 2-story buildings that you're showing.
Sure.
So I don't know I think you need to improve the proportion of the 3-story building, make it more quaint, not as massive. I mean, that's gonna be like a 30, 40, 45-foot canyon of buildings. Whether it's breaking up the roof line, whether it's making some units 2 stories or appear 2 stories without losing your square footage.
No, that all makes sense. Appreciate the feedback. And I do think one of the things that we do, I think the picture showed a little better, but we do have some roof breaks. But I agree with you. I think showing that articulation, showing those dimensions a little more, providing a little more information, because you can see the roof breaks, you can see a little undulation on the facades, but I think we need to spell that out so you understand exactly what you're getting. So point well taken.
Is the slide below what's being built next door by others?
That's correct.
Also you can see this has character.
So, I mean, it sounds like a little bit more detailing or taking a look at
Right,
that detailing.
character is detailing, not really losing, square footage or bedrooms or anything like that.
Yeah, I think their elevations, there's a little more, looks like there's some shingle siding. But a lot in some of the same horizontal, vertical siding, but the devil's in the details. So fair enough.
But I also think the roof line needs to be restudied. You can see on this roof line of the 2 stories, it it modulates, it changes, even though it's the same structure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've got the dormers in there that.
Right.
Yeah, that maybe add a little more to that roof line.
The front door on yours looks a little more plain, not the door itself, but just the doorway. It
Yeah.
almost looks like it's entering a basement, which kind of is, but it's like, that's, I like the fact that it's not all the same siding. Yeah, it's a little bit more different.
Yeah.
The window mullions, see how the one on the bottom has 4/1. I think, what is it, Bill? Historically, it's 2/1 is what Summerville's kind of known for.
No, historically, it's 2/2 or 3/3 or 4/4 or 6/6.
Yeah. So that's one of the details to look
Bottom
for.
slash, top slash, normally the same.
Your front door here, you're proposing, you're going into the garage. I didn't pick that up on the floor plan.
No, I'm sorry. They're alley fed. So the garage is coming from the rear, front doors to the front.
Where are you walking? Are you,
Oh, fair enough. So, we have 2 different floor plans. On one of them, you've got a downstairs bedroom and bath. And then in another floor plan iteration, you have basically what we're calling a game room with some more storage. So there's 2 different ways to use that bottom story. So some of our homes are 3 bed, 3.5 bath. Other ones would be 2 bed, 2.5 bath.
Walking in, you're not walking into a garage, you're walking into.
You are not walking in the garage. It's a foyer. Yeah.
Are these end elevations prominent from the street? Or are they adjacent to each other?
Most of them are adjacent to each other. You can see just based off of the plan that you have in front of you there, there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 8 sides that would be exposed to street frontage.
I think you definitely have to articulate that more or give it more character than just being the side and all siding. Techniques are varying the siding, faux windows, faux shutters, just to break up that mass of hardy board. And also the roof, instead of just that looking roof, I'm not quite sure what that is. But again, if you can articulate the roof, that's
Yeah. And
all contributes to low country architecture.
I think there's an opportunity. I mean, as I look at that facade, sometimes I'm rightly or wrongly, a less can be more, but even with that, I would say there's an opportunity for more. I think we can add some windows in our, definitely on our second story where we've got some gathering area, what we're calling cafe in the kitchen area. So there's some room for improvement on these sides.
Are the dashed windows on the elevation, like, are those optional window locations? Kind of looks.
I believe those are faux. I
Oh,
think
okay.
that's why they're outlined like that.
Gotcha.
And like I said, I think and I think the other elevations that were approved had those, but there's still room for better articulation on the sides.
Can we look at the end elevations of the existing again?
I have a quick question while we're pulling that up. You mentioned the different elevation options. So are these gonna be like spec built, or are you gonna let the buyer choose what elevation they're putting on?
Haven't made it that far yet.
Okay.
It's probably going to depend on our overall timing. Because sometimes we do spec, sometimes the buyers are able to choose from the get-go. With this product in the towns, my guess is we'll be picking out those options or picking out those elevations.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I felt it was going, just.
Yeah.
Getting the input of the board.
Yeah.
What I
And buy-in.
build what was approved,
2 stories
what was approved last time.
versus 3.
As far as spec versus, it was all spec last time.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was all just your standard. Back what you saw in front of you is what they put on.
right. Well, what was designed last time looked better than what's designed now. Had more, what, the old buildings look better than the new buildings,
Gotcha.
the detail.
Gotcha. I hear you.
Why not just go with the old buildings?
Build the inside the same. I think what Bill's saying is build whatever inside you want, but build this building. Outside, have it look closer to this than what you presented. Cause this has got a lot of detail.
Jerry,
I think it's different.
Well, I assume
Builders.
Pulte has their own brand.
Correct,
Right.
correct. But I think we can, I understand the intent of the comment.
There's a lot more interest, architectural interest in what was approved.
Who
Yeah,
built,
and I think we can get there. I think, you know, like I said, I think the materials are pretty similar outside of the shingle. But I think we can, with the, like I said, with the calling out the undulation a little bit more, I think we can do better. I think, honestly, I think there's just a better way to elevate it. And I think that's something we need to show a little better.
I think you said this is a sold property. I think front porches, stoops are very important. So you need to incorporate that versus just a landing or a pathway.
Okay. Yeah.
And it seems it's very easy for you to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we were already kind of in conversation about potentially looking at a larger stoop or something of that nature.
Well, we're definitely talking about the porch, and we showed one of the elevations that has the porch. And so we can look at what flexibility we have on some of the other elevations. But yeah, the idea was to, as we called out, the porch on the second build, from my vantage point, the second from the right has that porch. So
You see your porch elevation though, it's hard to tell because we're just looking at a rendering, but see the detail on the
Columns.
the columns and things. That's what we're looking for, some detail on
Yes.
things. Dress it up. And you might even consider a color change. Okay, the colors
Yep.
aren't real
It's really all the details, the
warm
header
feeling.
colors, the header details.
Yeah, it's the
Right.
detail and the colors and
And then, when you come back, we need information on the garage doors, what those will look like. You feel like you have enough information to move forward?
yeah, I do.
Any other
Yeah,
comments?
this is very helpful.
Dustin, anything? Okay, I'm good. All right, we don't
Okay.
vote. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Next
we
time.
appreciate
Yeah.
all your feedback.
Yeah.
Really did.
Yeah,
Take
no votes. That's great. No, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, so Jesse, we're going back to the top. Sure. Vantage Apartments.
All right. Round two, here we go. All right, so for this one, the property is located off of Tupperway Drive, which is right off of Boone Hill Road, connecting Boone Hill to Orangeburg. It's a part of the Six Oaks development. It's located within its PUD. As a part of that PUD, it being a multifamily piece. Came to you guys, conceptual DRB a month and a half ago, and got some phenomenal feedback and really appreciated it. A lot of which was really kind of focused more around the architecture, which we have the architect here in order to address some of the comments and thoughts that were provided. As it related to the site, I'll run through the site real quick and some of the comments that we received and how we've elevated that some. We can then jump into the landscape architecture for a short period, and then we will jump into the architecture if that sounds good with y'all. Cool. So as far as the site's concerned, really there was kind of two major comments that we received. One was, how do we monetize these ponds? To which we took a look at these ponds. We are constricted to some degree due to the wetlands and having to get back down to grade to these wetlands prior to impacting them, which this sits underneath its own already permitted wetland permit. So we are constricted by what we can do with these wetlands. There's no real flexibility in impacting them any differently. And so what we did is we took a look at wrapping these where we can with a trail system around them, amenitizing more of the stream that bisects the site with most likely like a raised bridge of some sort to cross it in order to, from a pedestrian standpoint, connect the two, let's call it sections of the development. And then in addition to that, what you see just planned south of those pickleball courts is an area where we're also looking to amenitize that larger pond that also then has a backdrop onto an existing tree type of scape versus backdrop onto additional buildings as a way of just kind of like a lookout, if you will. And it's also tied in with the rest of the amenity area. And so it just felt like it was a nice place to amenitize it versus having it in the middle of all of the units in the plan, right? Or we get really tight on pond space and what you see to the far plan left. So that was one thing that we heard from y'all. The other one was it related to the entrance, as it was not necessarily completely centered on the amenity building as you entered the site. We did study it. We studied it pretty well. We actually discussed with the town arborist as well as it related to the trees in that area. Unfortunately, our desire to keep those trees and the town's desire to keep those trees outweigh the location of where that drive can go. And so for those reasons, the drive will not be located centered on that building. And in order for us to obtain really the yield that is desirable on this piece of property, it doesn't lend itself for us to shift that amenity either. But it does allow us to have a nice entrance between those trees and also allow for a good access or like a secure point at which access is secured before it then feeds its way into the rest of the development. So I did want to let you know that we studied it. No, we did not just blow the comment off and then just say whatever. But it was a well thought out comment, and we did give it the time it deserved. So any questions for the site?
Have you coordinated with the arborist on the location of the path along the front street there?
We
Tuckaway
did.
Drive?
We did. We actually will be placing within the design documents that it is still to be field located. We can go out there and locate as many trees as we can, but until you get out there on site, I mean, Chris, you know,
Yeah.
till we get out there on site, you don't quite know where that path may land without substantial impacts. And so we did our best as we could, kept the grading to existing grade as best as we could. But with that, we will still have a note that says to be field verified.
Is that a paved path or a natural path?
It'll have to be a hardscape. So right now it'll be spec'd out to be concrete. So and per the town's requirement, it has to run the frontage of the parcel. And so it'll be a material that's ADA accessible.
But it does, another project that does not have to be in the right of way, though.
Correct. So this is not located within the right of way, but we will be working with the town as it will have to have its own easement on it. Yeah.
Does it connect other neighborhoods? I'm not familiar with the overall site.
Sure. So as of right now, it is a complete streets effort, right? But as of right now, to the south and to the north, there are not sidewalks on either side yet. But it does allow the opportunity for the town, should they need to step in to complete the street, if you will, at times, they have a connection point at that point with the effort put in by our development.
There's, just moving forward, there's limited access points from the development to that sidewalk that runs the link. Only
That's
have one
correct.
At the clubhouse. Is there an opportunity for more?
We can look into more. The other place where we would maybe look for a potential access would have to be at the other access point. And there's a level of security that the owner likes to see on the property. And so for that reason, we're not trying to achieve pedestrian access points all over the place, which then makes it a little bit harder to manage. from an access secure standpoint. But we can study what that looks like on the north access.
So silly question. I get the security. You still live in an apartment complex. Or is there going to be gates?
There will be gates at
No, I'm
the
sorry.
entrance.
I apologize. I'm sorry. Fencing. Is there
Yes,
gonna be
sir.
All
Yes,
over
sir.
the edge. Okay.
Yes, sir.
right.
6 foot height, 8 foot, like what?
So actually I can let Dalton dive into that a little bit. But we did go ahead and spec out what the fencing would look like along the front, but then also around the perimeter of the site as it relates to not the frontage of Tupperway. So
Yeah, I'd like to see that northern connection. I think having
Is it?
6 feet of no connection of sidewalk between the sidewalk along the frontage and sidewalk next to the parking lot, it just seems unfinished to me.
Okay.
I get the whole, let's not make 18 connections. The other issue that I would have twofold is, one, could we move the clubhouse and eliminate or at least combine those sidewalks between building 1 and the clubhouse? Because here's my thought process twofold. One, appreciate you looking at moving the clubhouse so it's centered on the road. It's not a huge ticket item for me, but I get why this board wants it. Shift it 10 feet because you're losing one of the sidewalks and combine it. Here's my other point for that. You're walking out the base of building 1. I'm not using that sidewalk to get the clubhouse. I'm cutting through the grass.
Okay.
I'm not looping around. I'm not walking 30 feet the other way just to walk 30 feet back. So if you could combine both of those sidewalks, you have duplicitous sidewalks that are parallel anyways. That could shift the clubhouse 10 feet to the south.
gotcha. And you're saying, so you're, just so I'm clear, you're saying to combine the sidewalks on the back side of building 1 with the south side of the.
Correct. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then the other question I would have is there any thought, because most of the homes on this road are 1-story homes. Obviously, these are 2 and 3. I can't read. I apologize. I know they're 2. Is there any thought to have the garages that are located on the northern property line, or at least planned north along the frontage, so people going down Tupperware and the residents across the street don't see a parking lot and then a 2 or 3-story tall apartment complex? At least to soften that.
Sure.
I would rather have the buildings up next to it like they do on 17A next to Carnes, where granted, nobody wants a 17A as their backyard, but
Right.
it softens the appearance from a parking lot. But if you could do the garages along that road, it could soften the parking lot. if that
Sure.
makes sense.
And I love the point. It's funny that you mention it. We were thinking opposite. And we were thinking, well, we didn't know how the board would view garages up against. Now I get it. There is a buffer along Tupperway that we're trying to maintain, but we didn't know how the board would view garages up against Tupperway, and that being kind of what you see. And so we were trying to anticipate to some degree, but we anticipated that wouldn't be received well. So we put it more towards the rear and out of the way. But I understand what you're saying. It does somewhat mimic more of what's across the street. I will say we also kind of leaned on the fact that the parking would act as almost like an additional buffer, if you will, of height of the buildings from the adjacent roadway, and then additionally the homes across the street, with the natural buffer being in between it as well. We felt comfortable with that, but you bring up a fair point. It's something we can look at.
Well, the cool thing about the garage is you can make it a living wall in the back and even disguise it even more. So now
Sure.
as you're on Tupperware, you're not looking at some big blank wall.
Yeah.
You could obviously articulate or architecturally design it so it's decorative. I'm sure Peter's got a million great ideas, but you throw a living wall like we did over at Sawmill Branch, and it's not just one big empty blank wall. Now it's a green space in terms of the look, and it hides the parking lot, which I think is insanely ugly, but it also hides the apartment complex a little bit from the residents across the street. I advocate for the residents, or at least I try to.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts.
No, I really appreciate your feedback there.
Do we have an aerial or a zoomed out image of where this site sits with neighbors?
I could tell you.
So I think if you go to the map that's got the zoning on it. So that's just your general map right there. As far as an aerial is concerned, if you go one more up, Jesse. So obviously still not an aerial, but what I can explain to you is What you see to the plan east of the site there, Gillies Court, there's single family homes that run, they're unincorporated Dorchester County, but run through there. There's approximately 12 lots within there, maybe 15. What you see to the plan west side of the property are deep. They're actually deep lots. Some of them commercial use. Really, I think all of them are commercial use. At one point in time, single family flipped to commercial use. That front Orangeburg Road, the back portion of those lots are almost all fully wooded. The reason being is there's a large wetland that bisects the property line, if you will. And then what you see to the north is all townhomes as a part of the Six Oaks development. And then across Tupperway Drive is all single family homes to what Justin was discussing.
Those single family homes are just small brick franchises basically.
Yes, sir. They're your 60s and 70s built homes.
Yeah, very small,
Yes, sir.
small lots.
I mean, I think from my perspective, as far as the garages and the goes, there's some garages, there's carports as well. I think that would be just an option to consider.
Sure.
For me, it would not be a requirement per
A
se.
deal breaker by any means. I do love the idea though.
Yeah, and that gives more of a buffer to the existing residents, kind of page north.
Is the buffer using existing vegetation only, or does it have to have supplemental plantings?
If it's all right with you, we can jump into the landscape side of things and
John,
is that it? I'm not trying to steal the thunder of site whatsoever, but
Landscape.
Yeah, landscape, go ahead.
it'll only take 5 minutes.
I mean, everybody's done with site, right?
Well, we can come back to it. Because it's having
We
a
have to go in
slight-
order, Chris. We have to go in.
You should have been an engineer.
I just like arguing with them.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Dalton Burbidge. I am the LA representing here tonight. Also, just to acknowledge Betsy Ellingson is my senior LA. Obviously, she's not here with us, but can't take credit for most of this design because this was all her, but I can answer any of your questions, or if I can't, I'll get you an answer next time.
So the question is, are you using only existing plant material or are you adding to it?
We're adding to it. So as you can see on the landscape plan, all the existing canopy trees are either kind of that large one that's green, that's existing live oak, and then obviously all the other ones that are smaller. The color represents the grade that was in the arborist report. So obviously the only ones that are colored are the ones that have a grade associated with them. If you are aware, the site is mostly pine trees. So mostly the arborist went out and surveyed all the live oaks, hard oaks, things like that. So we could have an understanding of what's going on internally and not just pine trees.
And most of the front buffer is live oaks and other oaks.
Yes, you have a lot of live oaks. So there's some gums, some pines as well, some water oaks. And we did try to preserve as many pine clusters as we could. Obviously, like trying to save just one pine is kind of putting people at risk or at danger of that falling in a storm. But also like just being all together, the root ball system thrives better. So we tried to incorporate plantings on each side that requires a buffer within existing canopy trees.
Are all the footpaths paved or is that natural pervious material?
We have a variety. So like this one here would be paved concrete to Aaron's comment earlier. And then we do have some pedestrian pathways throughout that would be, like to your point, a different material.
So it's pervious.
Yes.
And how are you dealing with? So all the retention just goes to the wetlands or the ponds naturally?
All the stormwater then feeds to your wetlands, or I'm sorry, yikes. All the stormwater is fed to your ponds. The ponds then control that stormwater and then outfall accordingly. We have two of these, the two ponds that are located more towards the Plan West. They then outfall to the ditch that bisects the site. It then makes its way out to Hurricane Branch through the rest of the Six Oaks development. The front the front pond that you see that's more triangular in shape, that one actually will outfall to the DOT right of way. And then from there, there's a pipe that carries it on and downstream. And that outfall pipe that you see on that triangular pond is substantially shorter now.
All right, any other questions on site?
Nope.
Okay, what you need?
I was just gonna clarify. The reason why I was asking about the buffer plantings is because I don't disagree with Justin's comment about relocating garages there, but I think you guys have also spent a lot of time working on this layout, so it doesn't seem like that should be, a requirement, a required revision at this stage. I think between what you're leaving to remain and then the additional plantings should have enough of a buffer, visual buffer from those adjacent
Yep.
parcels across the street.
To your point, a lot of the existing canopies will obviously trump what canopies are required along the buffer. So what you see here is mainly just shrubs and understory trees that are required. And also on each sheet, or sorry, on the overall master landscape plan, we have each buffer called out and location and the requirements and how we're meeting them as well.
All right, let's move on to architecture.
Thank y'all.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Sorry about my tardiness. Traffic was not kind getting here. So from the last meeting, we had obviously you all had some really good comments, and we looked long and hard and worked and addressed these as much as possible with the design, and even did some other little further refinements. So as you see here, this is the front, and I believe that is the right side view of the clubhouse if you're facing the front. So you had comments about the roof line, which we changed, the whole front porch, which we updated. The column sizing was you said last time was a little too large, so we brought that down in scale. We provided a bigger, larger front door with side lights and a transom that it goes with a lot of the houses that we have seen. And then windows with mullions and shutters on some of the primary areas. The opening on the left side is the access into the mailroom that's within the building. One of the comments you had about the sidewalk at the end of this left side of the building and the building number 1, we have 2 access points out of the mailroom for security purposes, for safety. Typically they are outside of the fence area, so people can come and go without having to go inside the fence to get to the mailroom. So that's why you see 2 different sidewalks, one coming out of building 1 and one coming out of the thing. But we can make a connection while you're inside the fence to cross over to get to the mailroom area, pretty easily. The way these apartment buildings are set up, they're pass-through breezeways, so we have to have a sidewalk coming out of each one of them for accessibility requirements and fair housing requirements. If this was a U-shaped interior breezeway, then we could get with one coming out if necessary. So, on this, we contacted the local brick supplier and got the blends that are typically been approved in the town. This is one of them. Then we have the sample board here of that one, of the brick that has typically been used. It's got a little bit more of the grayer tones in it. The roof, even though it doesn't really show up on the rendering, but it will be this Galvalume standing seam roof, which we have a sample of that metal. The siding will be board and batten, and it will be primarily one color on that one. One color shade with accents. For example, in the middle where you see the shed dormer, that's actually the wall of the mail room as well. So we put some shutters there as if they were in the closed position. because the way because if not, I wouldn't be able to get any light up there. So they're actually look like they're closed over a window because it's just the back of the mail boxes. So I really can't put any penetrations in there. So we're putting these shutters on there to make it seem like that. And then we extended the roof down with wall brackets. And so the wall brackets, the shutters are painted a little darker shade to give accent, in which we have seen, and actually kind of that same kind of motif shows up in one of our sample pictures. And then for lighting, we're looking at doing decorative carriage lights or the arm lights in various locations. I'm going there, and then on the end of the clubhouse, on the right side of the image, that's the end. Those are windows, obviously with shutters, and we have the same board and batten layouts. Siding. We're trying to keep this more of the single tone on the colors.
Oh, just a quick question. Looks like the shutters are, put them together, they're bigger than the window. So they don't really.
I originally we had them designed to be operable, but they're really, well, hopefully not for that one, but I'll double check them. But I think we're going to end up with fixed ones instead. But we'll double check the shutter size and dimensions and proportions.
They need to be match the window size.
Sir?
They need to match the window size.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we would, when I had them operable, they were where they close, actually
We
could
need to
close.
see hardware like they were operable.
Yeah.
Whether they are or not.
Yeah, in the
Let's
open
put the
position,
hardware on.
yes. Okay. Okay. Yes, sir. This is the rear view of the clubhouse. So we have a long front porch that goes along of course, the back side of it. We have added more windows from the club room, their sitting areas. Beforehand, there were 2 sets of windows. I'd added a third. In some iterations that didn't show up here because we had already produced these drawings, but the ownership, you see on the far left side, where that little low wall where that dot is, that's actually was an enclosure for the pool equipment. We're moving that to the pool area, and there'll be another set of windows there, and that's a conference room. So there'll be windows facing that direction as well. The area on the right of the side is the windows looking out of the fitness center. So we have the little truss system that are going to be held up by wall brackets, or supported by wall brackets, because the thinness of the nature, you got to have some support there with the divided windows, mullions.
I would ask you to revisit. Standing seam roof looks great as a combination with shingles roof.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to envision this entire elevation of standing seam
Mhm.
could be overwhelming, especially the material, the finish that you chose. But if you did the low roof standing seam and the high roof shingle, I think you would break the mass a little better. That's just for
And we've done this
consideration.
before on other projects we've done where they've actually, clients have either done the shed portion, if it was a true awning, be standing seam or at an entryway to an apartment building. We've even had some where they've had the gabled ends will be standing seam where the main body of the building is shingles.
So take a look at that.
Yeah, we
I
could,
think
yeah, that's.
this would be very reflective
Mhm,
if you did it all on the
mhm.
silver standing seam.
Okay, that's, we can do that,
I disagree.
sir.
Needs to be metal.
Mhm.
If you're going to allow the metal, stick with metal.
For the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Uh,
think Peter's right. I mean, that's a big metal roof.
Mhm.
Is there any way to break that up then?
Well, that's the back side. The front side is broken up.
Yeah, this is the back of the building, so.
I'll let you make the decision. It doesn't, I'm just giving you some.
No, we've,
Opinion.
over the years, we've done kind of both, where there've been a combination of standing seam and metal.
Do the-
Get cheaper.
Well, yes, if you went to,
Makes it cheaper to go.
yes, if you went to shingles, yeah.
I would say you're getting conflicting information, so just study it.
Sure, no.
Yep.
Well, we've done some with all metal, obviously, but most of the ones we've done have been either a brown, bronze colored metal roof. So it's not as reflective, but it kind of does go away, but I can understand with the Galvalume, especially in its new state, and then until it weathers down a little bit, it will be very shiny.
Well, black or green are better.
Mhm.
Do all your pool patrons filter through the amenity building or there's other access to the pools?
Oh, you access the pool completely from outside the building. You do not have to go through the clubhouse to get there. And if you saw on the site plan when we were discussing the sidewalk at the end, there's a sidewalk that goes clean across the back side of the building, which separates the back of the club and the pool. And so people can traverse and get into the pool without having to deal with anything with the clubhouse.
I think you should, I'd recommend looking at the amenity center at Six Oaks.
Mhm.
Or, not that you're trying to duplicate it, but the Low Country detailing was spot on that. Both architecturally and on some of the site finishes. Yeah, we had, there was, I think there's some brick paving in some areas. But that would be worth going and taking a look at to see if there's something you can.
Yeah. Aaron sent me a bunch of pictures from there, and I think the one with the open port, the covered
Yep.
porch that has
And they have a black standing seam roof, I believe, or black
okay.
metal roof,
Mhm.
I believe so. And I always say there's precedent for black roofs here in Somerville that's somewhat unique.
Peter, curious to get your opinion, like if they took that gable section that's kind of in the center of this overhang
Mhm.
and kind of scaled that up a little bit, similar to the right side of the elevation, do you think that would break up the roof line a little bit more? In terms of what you were
Make a
looking
larger
for?
gable.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't disagree. It is a whole lot of roof and it does seem like the gables were bigger or something that would help. break
We
it up.
can, I mean, in those cases, either we would raise it a little bit more, as well as, give a little predominance. And that was one of the comments we had with an interior designer, is they would like to try to see it, almost get a little bit more light, higher light, which would allow us to at least have a window up underneath the roof and get
How
some.
big is the building?
How big is the building?
Yes.
Gross square footage is probably a little over 6,500 square feet. The actual air conditioned is about 45.
Pretty good size, but it's not.
Yeah, but that includes porches. The air conditioned portion is about 4,500 square feet.
How deep are these porches?
That one in the backside is pretty deep. It's probably close to 10 feet deep. The front porch is at least 7. Most people obviously sit on the back, if they're going to enjoy anything. So the front porch is more of an entrance, but there is plan to put some seats and furniture on either side of by those windows. Little,
So the buildings are about 100 feet long.
not probably not that long, probably about 80,
Okay.
85
Okay,
overall.
So
Remind me, do you have the other buildings to show us besides just this?
Yes, we have elevations of all the apartment building types and accessory buildings.
We got a
So
long way to go.
we'll go fast. Because pretty much, so here, the main comments on all the apartment buildings, well, this is the one we had shown you before, was the building type 1. The one was we had comments about the amount of brick that we had along the first floor level. We brought that down to be at the sill level and only accent at the entrances into the breezeways where the stairs are. We provided the divided mullions in the windows. In the middle, we had 2 other gable ends, and it was felt that that was a little bit too busy. So I extended the roof as a shed and added wall brackets for additional support. we had a combination of lap siding, board and batten. And that, again, was kind of considered a little bit too busy, so we went all board and batten. And within our office, we had a kind of a large debate going on the color and whether we were going to keep the wall color one color for both second and third floors, or in this case, like we show a lighter on the third floor, slightly lighter on the second floor, and then down to the first in some areas with white trim, and then highlighted areas such as the wall brackets and some of the eave brackets on the ends of the gables on the end of the building would be painted a little bit of a darker color, as you see on the color board.
All right, so this is what's proposed, right? I think you had said it was originally, this is what it was.
Well, this is from the updates that we've made
Okay.
from the preliminary meeting we had back in May.
All right.
So based off of your
Any
comment.
comments on this? Nope. You want to go on to any of the other buildings or the outbuildings?
We can and the other thing you wanted to have a look at is we do have one building type that has the stairs at the end of the building. I believe it's type 4, will be the fourth slide. So the entry, there it is. The entry is basically the same type of entry on the end. So it's predominant. You can tell where you're going into. These are, I believe, a 3-bedroom building. So there's only 12 units in this total on that one. So you actually enter in on the ends.
Let's keep on going to the other buildings.
Sure. Yes, sir. I know you got a busy agenda.
Yep.
So one other, of course, the other items you were looking at was some of the other items, garages, carports. So this would be a typical garage. Typically, it has had a long gabled roof on it. Here, I broke up the ends with gables on the ends, showing the lighting, the little faux venting. Carriage doors. I contacted a door supplier that's in the area, and he said this is the door that most apartments have been putting in, the carriage style. He gave me the exact one, so that's the profile. But it could be, they have several other styles that are, look good for carriage, whether it be the diagonal kind of brace, and they do. If it doesn't show up here, it has the hardware, the door handles, the side, hinge additions to it, and then we're looking at with using the shingle roofs on those. Now this one here is a garage, but it has the handicap garage unit on the end. We have to have a certain percentage of our covered parking that has to be accessible, handicap accessible. Because of that, the garage door gets wider and it gets taller. But we also have to have additional space in the garage for maneuverability. And then you have to have a man door or a pedestrian door out of it. You cannot rely on people to come behind their car and go out the garage door like a typical. We typically put that at the end of the front end of the building, come out the side, because if there's any grading issues, we can make grade and the pathway percentage on the side. With this, it does give it a little bit of an off-center look. We do have the ability to put the door in the front next to the garage door. I just have to make sure that the grades can be there to be able to accessible path.
You will not see any of these unless you are within the fence.
Yes, in your site plan, these two garages are one of them, the handicap's facing one of the ponds, and the other one is on the far back side.
All right, let's move on to the next building.
Yeah, so. Okay. The amenity structures. So the part in the middle is our typical, the cabana, the pool cabana. It's an all wood structure. It'll be painted white. We added detailing like angle brackets. And I've looked at a lot of pictures. We have details around the bottom and the top of the post of the columns. The one on the left is just in a pavilion style, kind of the same similar motif with brackets. timber truss framing, on that one. The item on the right is the carport. It's a steel structure, with a double slope, kind of a gable roof with brackets. On those, it's either, I know you did like, you gave directed no single slope shed type. So this is one of the alternatives available. So it has that kind of that same level of the field, because they're pre-engineered, not pre-engineered, but they're engineered in their purchase system. So.
Looks like you have one more slide of buildings.
Yes, and this is some of the outbuildings. So the two items on the left, that's the dog wash station. That's by the dog park. So it has siding, wrap columns, detailing, and siding. And then the two on the right are the pergola that's at the dog trellis that's at the dog parks. It's an open trellis system. So here's some of the concept pictures that we were working off of. The image on the right is kind of where I got the idea, or the thought of the darker shade of the shutters, along with some of the detailing of the piece. And then as you can see that the two in the middle left are the pavilion from Six Oaks. So it has a galvalume, it looks like, roof, but they do have black hardware.
Okay.
So that's, and we can do a lot of that to accent pieces in the parts as, I've seen both. I've seen everything all white, and I've seen stuff with just, black accent with a mounting hardware and things like that.
Okay. Good job.
Okay.
Any comments on architecture?
Mhm.
Any clarity? We can go back.
Do you have any rendering showing a street view of all these buildings kind of?
Not yet. That's going to probably be our next
Okay.
part, is to do a couple of these buildings in 3D and give that view from the street that you see the clubhouse and the building that's kind of adjacent.
Well, I'm more interested to see how these 3-story buildings are next to each other or
Right.
forming the streetscape.
Yeah.
Also note on the inspiration photograph that the frame around the window.
Mhm.
So it's typically a nice lintel with wide frames vertically as well as a sill, as opposed to just, 3-inch wood trim around the window.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I'd like you to
Yeah, we
incorporate that.
typically do a 5.5 or 6, but it's
Okay,
usually
good.
just one plank, but we can add trim to give a little bit more detail.
On the carports, are you doing anything to shield the headlights from encroaching on the neighbors? And if you aren't, you should think of something, whether
Well,
I saw this little brick wall, I don't know what that's for, or just a simple railing connecting, just blocking out.
most of the carports, if they're all interior, and
They are?
none of them are ever in front of a building.
I thought they were pointing toward the neighbor,
If we have a
the
perimeter,
12.
if we have a perimeter fence, I think we're still trying to keep a perimeter fence. Perimeter
Okay.
fence, and it's probably going to be a wood picket fence.
Okay,
So
so that's gonna
that'll
block.
help with any shielding. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we keep all the carports
Have-
away from the front of the building for fire access.
You talked about
Mhm.
a debate in your studio about colors. It seems that the colors that you're showing us
Mhm.
are kind of plain and not very inspirational. I can't tell if it's supposed to be contemporary, whether it blends into the heavily landscaped area, the wetlands, so
Well, we didn't want to go too deep into kind of earth tones because of the kind of the precedence of what's around. It's usually very bright and airy. As a matter of fact, I did a lot of research, and there was a local painting company that had an article on what low country colors are usually used, and those are it. So I went with that. They did have a light blue. Some are light blues, light greens. And we can look at that for sure. But yeah, our debate was to either keep it all one field color or do the two. And then that's why I have a lot of this overlapped, is like the top 2 colors would be like the upper floor with the trim color, and then the bottom two is the lower level with the trim color. You can see how they relate to each other.
I think once
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
do some of these perspective renderings from the street and
Right.
see how buildings are adjacent and encroach upon each other, and perhaps you're gonna see how monotone the environment that you're creating
Okay.
and cool color accents is not foreign to low country architecture. As an accent, not not overall.
No, I understand.
Have good ideas.
Yeah.
I personally believe the colors they've selected look wonderful on it. I think it's very peaceful, it's calming. When you come home to something, you don't want to be shocked by some change of some sort. I like it.
I think I agree with both of them, which is easy, right? So when you're in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
you forget, oh, is it that townhouse or that townhouse or that townhouse or that townhouse? So I would consider maybe there's a couple that are not this palette, it's a different palette. The other thing I would ask you to consider is at least on the amenity center is, and Aaron can tell you more about this, but a lot of times the ceiling of the porches are blue.
Yeah.
I think that's a
It's
southern
wasp.
thing, not just a,
No, it's a wasp thing.
yeah. Keeps ghosts away too, but.
I've never heard that.
It's supposed to talk about that.
I thought the sugar water back. Oh, that was for flats.
We'll talk about it later.
The sugar.
It's a different. that's a
No,
different
no,
committee.
no, we always say you're gonna have, paint it blue. I know it. from
Anything
wasps,
else
but I didn't.
architecturally? Anything else on site? All right, so there, anything else you? wanna
No, I
present?
appreciate everything, and all the comments.
Yeah, and we'll dive into some of those, the bracket details and stuff you mentioned at
Mhm.
final, because they're asking for preliminary now.
Mhm.
So let's, before someone would like to make a motion, what are the highlights of what they need to study as they move forward?
Mhm.
Blue roof, that was easy, or blue ceiling,
Yeah.
that's an easy one to remember.
Roof material,
Roof material, consider the large expanse of the clubhouse.
right,
Shifting it with the duplicitous parallel sidewalks.
yeah,
if
yeah,
possible.
that's no problem.
Should be good, right?
Mhm.
Any other comments or conditions?
Again, just make sure you hit authentic low country details. And so, with
Mhm.
window framing,
Yeah.
brackets,
And hardscape items, but just double,
We'll
Picture.
definitely take a deeper look at the hardscape as far as that pool and amenity areas.
Yeah, or the front door.
Pedestrian heavy.
front door.
Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that.
More sidewalk connections to the sidewalk along.
Yes, and on
Upper-
that,
upper right.
typically we have one coming from the street that is near the clubhouse, but if there's one that's, for people that don't have to walk all the way down if they're happen to be walking. But there will usually probably be an access control gate, just a pedestrian gate.
Yeah.
It can be like at the other end. So, that can be used, yeah.
There's pretty much pretty good grade change along the front of the property too. There's
Mhm.
another constriction as it relates to the layout.
Okay. Any other conditions? Would someone like to make a motion for preliminary approval with the conditions noted? Is
I make the motion.
there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
Next is Fred Street Apartments.
Hey, everyone. I'm Chris Carpus. With me is Chip Wyatt, representing the civil landscape. Thank you all for letting us get back here with you for this project. And I will let y'all talk about the civil first, if that's all right, landscape.
Good evening. As Chris said, my name is Chip White. I'm project manager with Barrier Island Engineering. I think the biggest change you'll notice is we've mirrored the site. We've had some coordination with CPW, and we finally tracked down the location of the existing sewer service for the multifamily building that you see kind of planned northeast behind the subject property. So you'll see that red box there denoting the proposed easement path to reroute the sewer connection from that existing building. And as a part of that exercise, we'll now be proposing to tie into that new rerouted sewer service there. So we've had some back and forth with BK at CPW, and I believe he's on board with this proposed sewer reroute. So then we took the subdivision plat through zoning to formally create the property boundary. So I think we can probably bump down a couple sheets here. That'd be a good one there, probably 59 maybe. Or yes, this is great. Thank you. So you'll see here again the rerouted sewer coming down the right-hand side of the property now. This gives us a little bit better connection out to the sewer. So again, I think what you've been looking at previously was the building mirrored to the right-hand side. We've mirrored the building to the left. The remaining site elements have remained pretty consistent with a little bit of massaging. We did want to provide a little bit of material change in terms of the sidewalk, the drive aisle, and the parking spaces. So we've got the parking spaces themselves proposed as permeable pavement to provide a little bit of texture and a little bit of color breakup, and then also provide the vital function of stormwater management here. So you'll see kind of that purple line there. That's just indicating that we'll pick up the drainage out of the permeable pavement reservoir and direct that into the right of way. I think I'll briefly touch on the building distance from the property. Excuse me. Building distance from the property lines. I think in the last iteration you saw, we wanted to provide over 5 feet. So I think in this case, we're providing just over 5 feet off the property lines. You will see plan left, the condenser units behind lining up the backside of the building. And then if you look plan northwest towards the top of the page over to the left, we've relocated the trash corral up there and provided a hard surface for the residents to be able to wheel those carts out a little bit more easily. I think some of the other concerns that came up previously was in regard to the actual trash service and pickup. We have had coordination with Becca and her team, and the owner has signed a contract with a private waste disposal company. That document has been sent to planning and zoning. They will be handling this proposed building in the future, as well as the building behind the existing building behind it. Excuse me. I think for the most part, that's a pretty small, tight site here. We tried. I think we can maybe flip over to the landscape plan real quick here. Thank you. So wanted to provide some buffering out on the street frontage there. So you'll see we've snuck some understory, some shrubs, some grasses, and some ornamentals out there around the water meters, backflows. And then we've got kind of the way the site kind of shook out, we've got kind of this natural courtyard area there in the center of the page. So we want to kind of frame that with some perimeter plantings, and then also provide a little bit of as much screening as we felt like we could get there in that top left corner, so that as you're looking from the existing building, we try to at least provide a little bit of screening for the condenser units back there. And I'll be happy to touch on any elements we'd like to discuss in detail. Thank you.
On the top 5 or 6 parking spaces, if you get out of your car, assume you're walking down the drive aisle to get to the doors versus walking through the shrubs. How do you get to?
Yeah, I think it probably, I think I think it makes sense now that you say that, Chris, that we can bump the plan left and extend that sidewalk up to the top. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And then staff had a comment. I think you addressed it, but about the trash, that you'd have to move someone else's trash to get to your trash, but that's going to be handled by a company. Not yet.
I believe we have gotten good feedback from Becca on that, and I believe, to my understanding, that concern has been resolved.
Okay. And then I may have overlooked it. Did you have a detail for the pervious pavers?
I can provide you one. I thought I had a standard detail in here. It would have been. If I don't have that in there, Chris, I can add that for you, and I can add some color options for you as well.
Okay. And then It looks like, just the way I'm reading it, the backflow preventer was not screened in the front of the building.
Okay. You thinking maybe some grasses or ornamentals to,
Something, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Be happy to add that.
Yeah, and I don't know if it may be,
We may put it in a vault.
if it's in a vault, don't have to worry about it.
So I'll coordinate that with BK. If we do not vault it, I'll be happy to add some
Okay.
screening to that.
Perfect. I wouldn't mind a live oak or two along the front for the street.
Okay.
Maybe it's, if it fits somewhere. And on this plan, there's an arrow pointed on the right to sweetgrass, but there's nothing there. See that sweetgrass label? Is that just a typo kind of thing? Or is it, are shrubs required along there?
I'm sorry, Chris, where's that lead that you're gonna?
Upper right corner.
Oh, gotcha.
And is it, oh yeah, I think those must be,
Yes, I think we,
those are one.
I initially had some sweetgrass in there, and then in conversations with BK, I think he wanted to try to keep that area as clear as possible. I think we could probably accommodate some grasses or something in there if you'd like. That's an erroneous label there I have.
Okay. I mean, I think I'm fine with, if a perimeter, if you may have to do the perimeter buffer. 8-foot landscape perimeter is required around all parking and travel aisle.
Yeah, there's
areas.
supposed to technically be an 8-foot buffer there. I think y'all had previously been conceptually okay with reducing that due to the limits of the site. So yeah, I mean, y'all would need to approve reducing that buffer
Okay,
and eliminating that landscaping.
all right. Well, maybe if there's room, just consider maybe you do a couple of live oaks along that property line.
Okay, we have
Maybe take a look at it. I can't, seems like there's room, but if you could consider that.
I think the problem is the proximity to the sewer service.
Correct. We're
Okay.
worried about route interaction on that sewer.
Yeah, there's a sewer easement there, so they, CBW does not allow trees within their sewer easement.
In our understanding through the sewer investigation as well, the existing service for the existing building is not in great shape as well. I think, I don't know what's causing that, but that was one thing that we discussed. But again, I think we can certainly look at some ornamentals and grasses to just provide whatever wherever we're able to geometrically.
Sounds good. All right, Carpus will address the trash thing, but any other site type stuff, Elise? Got them?
What's the overall site plan look like again with the existing building?
Pardon me?
This, you got a new building, this existing building on the site?
The existing building would be planned north off site, that building that right there. Yes,
Is
sir.
it gonna stay on, is that all one site or what?
The subdivision has been approved to drop the property line. It's a little bit faint on this view, but you can see where the sewer service chamfers there and runs north. That property line is just north of that chamfer.
So that's gonna be a new property line
Yes, sir.
right there.
And that subdivision plat has been, I believe it has been approved by, through that process.
It looks like you're really just trying to put too much on one side.
It's definitely it's a small, tight site. For certain, we're trying to provide as much as we can in terms of, sidewalks, parking, landscaping, with the desired program plan.
All right, how about if we roll into architecture?
Thank you.
I'm really not all that excited to talk about the trash. Just
You want to lead with that?
yeah. I measured our trash container at our house and worked on how to get that out of there. And I don't believe that we'll have to be moving a lot of stuff out of the way. So I also don't want that to hold up a reasonable project.
Where's the electrical service, Chris?
I believe the electrical service is coming in the front, but
Where the meters?
you know what the electrical service is? We'll have to look at it. If they're in the front, we'll make sure they're screened, but I don't know for sure, Bill, sorry. Well, architecturally, thank you for the great comments at the last meeting and even one before that, which facilitated the change in design. Basically for the design, Jesse, if you want to go down to the renderings there, the design basically is flipped, the side's flipped. We kept the different uses of hardy material, the siding, two different sidings to kind of break up the elevations, along with rafter tails and some hardy trim around the windows. And so this is actually it works a little bit better if you're coming from Cedar Street. If you go to the next one, Jesse. If you're coming from Cedar Street, you'll see that's the front again. So let's go one more. Okay. This is the parking side. That's the part that's kind of what you see as you approach from Cedar Street along Fred Street. The darker siding above helps to kind of set off the rafter tails a little bit more to accentuate that detail. We've got painted wood brackets, which are pretty standard for our low country look. And and the renderings kind of just go around the building. There's I have a detail in the architectural drawings that shows it's basically a slatted hardy trim fence around the dumpsters, the trash containers. And then from the back, this is what you see. We know that any mechanical units on the ground need to be screened. And so we're doing that. We're leaving an access way in the middle to the stairs. And then materials are warmer in nature. I got a brick sample here. Basically the water table is only a couple feet tall and it doesn't go around the building completely. So it's gray and it's not wire cut. It's more of a formed, something a little bit more natural. Wire cut's a little rigid for Somerville. And then there are your color samples or your colors. And the roof, as I was sitting here, I realized I don't have the roof sample, but it is charcoal gray, which is pretty standard for Somerville. So any questions on the architectural?
I think it looks good.
Thanks.
Nice, a lot of nice details. Color palette is nice.
Thanks.
Any other comments or questions? They're asking for, according to this, they're asking for final approval. I'm reading that right? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Got one quick question.
Sure.
Can we go back to the renderings with the screening items on them? So it looks like the screening fences could have like maybe a small gap at the bottom.
Sure.
Just to just make sure they're not blocking any drainage, that kind of.
Yeah, it's only like a 3/4 inch gap right now, but
Right.
we can bring it up a little bit and make sure like if leaves get in there or something, they don't get caught up.
Yeah, just it didn't look like it had a complete overhang. So if there's runoff falling down there, just making sure it sheets away from the building and everything.
Yeah, no problem.
What do the doors look like? It's hard to tell from this.
The doors, that's a great question. Yeah, you're not gonna get a drawing that shows them very well.
The 6-panel,
I'm sorry,
6-panel.
they are 6-panel doors. I was trying, they're painted to match the darker wood, the darker trim, sorry.
They're not flush or
No, they're not
panel
flush.
doors.
Not flush, even though it's an incredibly well done drawing of a flush door up there, but 6-panel.
Painted hollow metal door.
Yeah. we don't, we're trying to keep everything kind of maintenance free. So the hollow metal door, 6-panel hollow metal door look
Okay.
very comparable to a painted wood one without the rot. There aren't a lot of doors. It's a great question, Candy, because there really aren't a lot of doors like showing. So
How do people get the mail?
I'm sorry.
Where's mail delivery?
That's a good question as well. There's been no discussion of a kiosk. And so there, I would guess that he's going to have some sort of kiosk that's something that we can work out with the owner and get in front of you, get to the
Right.
town anyway.
Right.
But probably just something freestanding that's not obtrusive. It won't be like a large covered
Mhm.
pavilion.
Could be on the wall,
Could be on the wall, indeed.
in the stairwell.
There's plenty of room in there.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments from the board? The only conditions I saw were detail of the previous pavers and consider some landscape enhancements. Y'all have anything else?
Chris, we'll extend that sidewalk.
Yep, sidewalk. Let's
And
get that
just if the electrical meters are visible, to have them screened or.
Yep, we'll get that worked out.
in the backflow. We talked about the backflow as well.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, would someone like to make a motion for final approval with conditions?
I'll make a motion to approve it with conditions.
Okay. Is there a second? I'll second it. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Next is Lincoln Square.
Afternoon, evening.
Just make sure you state your name and what your role is in the project, please. You're asking for final approval, if I recall correctly, right?
That's right. We're asking for final approval for this project. Again, my name is Key McLaughlin. I'm the landscape architect on this project. And we're coming back for final. We've made a few refinements to the site plan. I think that's what I could talk about first and then get into the architecture, but I have just a few notes. 5 notes, but really we came back with some improvements to the site plan. So if you want to pull up the site plan, that might be easy for us to follow. So as you arrive from both either the left entrance or the right entrance, there is a concern about seeing the sides of the buildings, call them the arrival buildings. What we've done is we've actually done some additional screening to those buildings, so you're not really looking into the back yards of those units. Furthermore, even to the plan right, where that building has been shifted over to the right, we've introduced a community dumpster. The dumpster's there. It's a great location. It's well screened, but yes, it's very accessible, nicely hidden. Good place for it, and of course, it's going to be screened and fenced as well. Additionally, really screening is kind of the topic of the conversation. We've moved the pump station down and back a little bit further and screened that a little bit better as well. So I think by improving and just enhancing a lot of the screening on the site, we've added some nice characteristics and some features. Moving on to some of the units and the particular details of what we've done from an landscape architectural perspective on the units. In the rear of the units, we've added fences to help screen some of the HVAC units and also in between each unit. And that helps screen the mechanical, provide a little bit of private area for each individual.
It's a sample building.
Yeah, there's one prototypical building that we have. a lot of drawings, yeah.
While she's flipping that, what is the dominant street tree canopy?
I'm sorry.
What is the street tree canopy in those parking lot islands?
I'd have to look again. I think we went with oaks. So here is a prototypical landscape plan that we've done for the front and the foundations of the buildings. So we were able to get canopy trees in the parking lot islands. It's a little tight between the sidewalk and the front of the building. So we've introduced some ornamental trees either end, and then a pretty nice layering of plant material all the way up to the foundation. So this will be repeated on each building. I think it's very appropriate. There's a lot of plant material. I think it's a very good, colorful, and well-textured look.
Where are the HVAC?
HVACs are in the back. So if you look at the rear, yeah, the boxes, of course, that's the HVAC with fences that shoot out according to the party line of each unit, with a little bit of landscaping, around the HVAC unit. And then the raised terrace, raised deck area, just a step up. That helps really define the public space, the private space behind each of the units.
One of the comments, I'm reading kind of comments here from staff, it was, or minutes. Location design of the dumpster enclosure needs to be included and reviewed by the board. So you talked about the location. Architecture was color palette. Saw details of porches, but it also says additional street trees could provide streetscape variation and ensure that all pedestrian connections are depicted. I thought I read on here, maybe I interpreted it, but street trees going down the main entry road.
Street trees coming down the main arrival roads. Okay, understand. Okay.
Yeah.
We left a lot of the existing trees that we could. We go to the landscape plan. I don't believe we added any of those trees yet. We could certainly study that and add trees as necessary to help fulfill that canopy. But we certainly want to look at that. Yeah. Oh yeah, we added some trees into the buffer, but not along the street. So let's pull some trees back the curb, maybe 8 feet from back curb, and see if we get some trees in there.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll discuss maybe the architecture with some of the units now.
Sure. I think the big takeaways last time were hi, I'm Justin Busey, Kobu Architecture. Really wanted to see the streetscape renderings, look at the animation on the sides and the rear. And as you can see, it's coming down into the view one. That's our main entry drive as you're coming down. View two is next box of 4 building assemblies. And a couple of vignettes of the fire pit area and the playground screening. And then again, the playground screening or the fire pit and overlook of the pond. The last view is a view coming in the access where you can see the additional landscape that was added to help shield the rear of the outdoor space for the units. The other items that we are looking at are the color swatches for each of the buildings. We went back and looked at a variety of 6, I think it was like 6, 7 colors for variation. You give variation to each of these buildings. They all, I mean, our 4-unit obviously can't use all of them, but they all work well together. So that'll be the base color scheme across. If we need to shift a color here or there, we have that opportunity, and these colors work well together. I believe we've got our materials that we discussed last time, and then finally the garbage enclosure that is tucked away into the corner. I believe it was, forgot what building number that was, but as you come in the back entrance, you can go down a little bit. There you go. It's fine. back in here. So if you want to go back to the, say the black and white elevations. There you go. On the side elevations, we were taking the style or the language that we have on the front and wrapping it as it turns the side, whether or not the gable peak has it'll have a vent, but whether or not that siding, the accent siding is a board and batten or a shake, that's going to continue to make that unit feel as that it's one within itself there. On the back side, we were carrying the color scheme to the rear as well and added the canopies in addition to the raised patio and the screen walls between the units that helps create that private area on that rear. I think on the we also have a few of the buildings we have pathways behind, so it's also a kind of a meet your neighbor kind of event on the backside. Now, if you can go to the renderings, back down to the renderings, we have, I was thinking more of the 3D, but we can get a little glimpse of, we've got a couple of them. We've got some screen walls. There you go. Sure, maybe 3. There you go. So on the back, the color schemes kind of carry through. We've got a little bit of patio space overlooking the I don't know, the pond and the trail behind the buildings in this view.
Is the planting accurate to the plan? The illustration?
I don't think we're gonna go with the Lumen cypress around the playground.
Okay.
Good.
Maybe my renderer may have taken some artistic liberties on some of these, but we try to get close.
Yeah.
With some.
Yeah.
But yes, it'll be buffer, it'll be screened. We'll have,
Just not that.
yeah. We'll have shrubs around.
What, you don't like the cypress on the playground?
It depends on the motif of the playground, but I don't think we'll do that. But, yeah, we'll have some shrubs. AI is taking over.
Yes. Yes.
Is there any more that you want to talk?
Do you have any questions?
You don't have an amenity center, if I recall, right? So there's no amenity buildings or mail kiosks?
We do have a mail kiosk, and it's right off the page, right off the picture, and it's right next to the playground. Playground area, it's on the plan. Find it's a nice touch. Mail, let Timmy go run on the playground.
You have a rendering of that or architectural elevations of that or anything?
Of the mail kiosks, I do not.
Does it need to be a covered structure over?
I don't think we require it. It's not required. So it's just boxes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
76 units.
I gotcha. Okay. That's fine. Any architectural comments? Got a couple things on site from the notes.
I think you taken the typical row house, townhouse concept structure and successfully broke it up and made this entire complex very interesting with a lot of texture, a lot of details, nice colors. One suggestion is, where is the one building that has a continuous gable roof? I think there was, at least in the rendering, there was one.
On the rears of it's a coplane on the rear elevations.
I guess that one. Have you thought about a hip roof at the end? Just of that building.
Introducing a hip to a gable structure. I guess we do have a hip over there. All right, we can look.
Not a, everything I
would
say
mess up
is an
your third
opinion.
floor.
Pardon?
That would mess up your third floor. If you put a hip on that roof, because right now you got a window in the gable. You'd have to put a dormer on it to maintain the space.
But you don't have a third floor.
Well, they got windows in the attic. Then.
They're fake. just to break up, again, you successfully took this longitudinal building, broke it up very successfully, except for this one, where it's a continuous shed roof.
Okay.
I'm not saying break it up. I'm just saying consider a hip at the end. That's all. Because these end elevations of gable buildings, because there's so much wall exposed, detracts from what you did in the front, in my opinion.
Which one building you talking about, Pete?
This one.
That's the back. That's not the front.
No, I don't know if we introduce a hip on the end units is appropriate for this. style. How would you feel if,
Well, what he's talking about is the rear elevation of the building.
right,
not-
so
Not,
how
not
would
a
you,
separate building.
how would you feel if we introduce where we have our gable on the front?
Well,
If we do a gable on the.
I'm
rear?
not talking about, I thought I saw one low building. Again, go to the renderings, and if this is your typical back elevation, no, I'm not suggesting add a hip to every single building. I thought there was one kind of near the pool. Where was the pool rendering?
We don't have a pool.
So
Don't
there,
have-
Oh, that's the rear elevation.
is that the rear elevation of every building
That's a rear elevation.
On the detention part.
Overlooking
of the typical building?
of your typical building, correct? With those colors. And then the,
Certainly not as interesting as the front.
But it'd be the back.
it is the rear, correct?
Did you say that the party wall is every other unit? Is what it looks like from the rendering?
It's every, at each color, that's the demising structure, so,
Okay,
um,
so it will be between every unit in the rear.
pardon?
The like party wall fence kind of breaking up the backyard, that's gonna be at every,
Correct.
Dividing wall.
Every,
Okay.
between every unit.
okay.
I think it's missing on a couple of the rear elevations, but at that point, but, if the rear elevation, you want to see more animation on that? Is that what you're alluding to?
I think that'd be nice, especially the roof line.
The highly visible ones like this.
Around the wet
are the
pond.
Open spaces versus the ones on the perimeter that people don't see.
I
Think There's a
would,
difference.
if that's the case, I would recommend to take that gable element that we have on the front of that specific unit and put it on the back. That would help break that massing down versus bringing in the hips on the sides, so.
Disregard my hip
Okay,
roof.
all right,
Can you
I
imagine
thought it
this
was
like-
one building.
pardon?
Just around the pond.
Yeah, would it,
Can we look
how
at
about just around?
the site? Can we look at the site?
Yeah,
plan?
look at the site plan.
Seems like it's a minimal number of units that would need that treatment.
Because I believe we have said, well, does we need to see the right side too?
Yeah, those three buildings there.
We need to see, we've talked about as you enter the site, that building. That's- It was, we're not seeing the whole building. We've talked about, these aren't, well, I guess it is numbered. We've talked about it for number one, having more details there. And we were concerned about like 65 and 66, how that looks like as you approach from the road, which looks like that
Landscape, picking it up.
added landscaping. I think they added parallel parking. And then Peter, to your point, if we looked at the first picture you had up, Jesse, with the other left-hand side of the site, you're talking about
The
building
rear is around the
58,
detention ponds.
yeah. 49 through 64. Is that where you are?
Yeah, and it's probably just those three buildings.
Yeah,
That'd be nice. Sure.
Yep. Anything else on architecture?
I'll just say, I think the color scheme looks great. I think that was one of my comments, was just asking how the monotony of the elevations would be broken up, and I think what you guys came up with is looking good.
Great, appreciate it.
Chris, staff did have a question about the trees, where the, dumpster was located. There was a nice grouping of pine trees here. Didn't know if it was possible just to move the dumpster up slightly to allow those trees to remain.
That'd be doable. No,
Slide it up.
Doesn't have to be that far back. I'm just trying to hide it.
Yeah, slide that a little bit.
Would be this roof. Yeah, the
Slide-
entire.
Slide it up 20 feet or something. Slide to it.
Yeah.
Work with the town arborist.
The entire adjacent part would it's no one's even close to look.
Just work with staff.
We can buffer it up.
One thing I had on. If you go to one of the renderings, please, Jesse, that comes through the parking lot. From the main road. Is on the typical plan, you had palm trees. Typically, we don't like a whole lot of palm trees, and it looks like there would be a street of palm trees, kind of as a street tree element. I would not support that.
Yeah, I would prefer shade trees. I don't know.
Or can't, I mean, the oaks you had were great. Prefer to have live oaks where it makes sense, but you repeated this, I don't know how many buildings you had, but 60 palm trees. Yeah.
I can't just wait to go now.
All right, awesome. Great. Any other comments? Sign will come later, I think. Your sign for the neighborhood,
Yeah, that all.
that's later.
Yeah. It's, we need to, I mean, it's just small. Column.
Yeah.
Nothing big.
Worry about that later.
Is there gonna be, for my own edification, is there turn lanes, decel lanes into this property?
I'm sorry.
No.
Decel lanes? No, really?
Not quite. Element to a whole
That's a 2-lane road.
long study. Part.
All right, who, get with me after so I can figure out who that traffic engineer was.
Give him the horn, I think.
That's why I don't hire Kimley Horn.
Yeah, Justin, that's SCDOT that approves that.
All right, I'll talk to Josh. I go up and down that road all the time. And it's literally, everybody comes to a complete stop before they take a right. It's already,
On any of it, which is.
no, there's not. Well, at least fix the intersection at Ladson Road, because that thing's a nightmare too.
Oh my gosh. All right, any other comments? They're asking for preliminary approval. The notes I have is palm trees.
Yeah, they're asking for final.
Sorry. Talk about sliding the dumpster, palm trees. Double check the street trees, reducing the amount of palm trees.
Add the full gables at the 3 buildings.
And then, yeah, the rear of the
Gable
buildings, 3 buildings around the pond.
All right, so. Looks like I mean, I'm not telling you what to do, but if you want to make a motion with conditional approval or whatever motion you'd like it to be, they're asking for final, call for the motion
Make a motion for comments noted
for final.
for final.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll need to take a break.
I'm good. I don't need.
Yeah. Yep. Next is 725 Central Avenue.
Hello again. I'm Chris Carpus. I'm the project architect. And actually, kind of kick things off, Roger and John, project owners, just like to say hi.
Hi, I'm Roger Bednar, one of the project owners, and this is John Sorrentino, the other. We took your comments and opinions into careful consideration over the last meetings that we've had. We hired a well-respected local architect, Chris Carpus, as well as engineer Kevin Qualfie, to put together, to tweak all the plans and put together a cohesive plan. And we will have our architect and engineer explain everything in further detail. So
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Coffey, Low Country Land Development Consultants. And basically we were brought in to kind of clean up from what we had originally. Some of the issues were like parking in buffer areas. We got all that straightened out. We got this proper sidewalks in there with ramps for handicap. We got our parking reduced down to 51 units, which it requires 50 units. So we're covered there. I did talk to BK Bong over at Somerville CPW about the sewer. I don't know if that came up in the last conversations, but basically they're replacing that pump station. And we talked about, you know, that's still in the plans. They're kind of been waiting on us kind of deal. So with that being said, they're going to put in a new pump station to basically help capacity issues they had. They'll also install a new force main that's going to meander through the buildings and out the back, as you see that sewer easement. Yes. They're doing this because it avoids them having to do a gravity sewer across the highway to another development that's getting ready to start. And it would make that whole gravity sewer system very deep, which they don't want to have it that deep and have to maintain and service it. Other than that, you have your 30-foot buffer around the site for your landscape buffer. We do have 5-foot landscape buffer where it's up against neighboring property. It's the same zoning, which is neighborhood business. I would like to, now that I've sat here and listened, see if we can reduce our buffer since we have a limited site on the 30-foot buffer, mainly to help us with some of the stormwater, because stormwater on this site is going to have to be some kind of underground detention. We're not in that process yet of designing that, but that'll have to be done. We're also installing water, of course, to the site, and then the sewer will be designed also to go to that new pump station. I think that's it. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
I seem to recall we had some existing tree concerns. Seemed like there was a big oak right in the middle of the site or something. Has that been addressed or you met with staff?
There was a 26 and a 20 that was right in building number 2's footprint, I believe it was. And it had a couple of other ones that were kind of, you know, not, I think they were like a C grade, but the 2 oaks in the middle were A grade. So they were really, really good oaks based on what the landscape architect did. We didn't have anything to do with landscape architecture. We're just kind of working with that, but basically they're going to have to adjust for some of the stuff we've done. But that's the only place I really saw everything in the buffers around is we can preserve to some degree, take out some of the stuff that's C and D's, just to, you know, clean it up. That 44-inch or 49-inch on the end there, that's definitely going to stay. The 2 large ones in the back, definitely going to stay. And that's, like I said, those 2 that were right in the footprint of, I think, building number 2 was the main ones I saw.
So Jesse, how's that stand?
Yeah, I think based on their movement to make sure that this tree here had as much space as possible, and then working to preserve these and the higher grade trees along the buffer areas, the tree protection board was generally good with this proposal.
One thing we did do that helped too is if you look at their drawing, they wrap sidewalk around the back of the building. There's no reason for that. So we have sidewalk in the front for our access into the units. We have pads for like if you know going out a back door, stuff like that, but not a continuous sidewalk around the back of the building. So that was also impacting the trees.
How deep is the building?
Deep as the what?
Are the buildings more than 50 feet deep?
I'm sorry.
Are
the buildings
more than
the
50
buildings
feet?
over 50 feet deep?
30 feet deep.
Over 50?
Still not.
Are they more than 50 feet deep? Buildings, each unit.
Carpus can answer it.
Yeah, that's building stuff is.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
How deep are the buildings?
I could kind of show you that on my architectural drawing if you want, Bill.
They gotta be on the site plans. How deep are the buildings from front to back, front door to back door?
They're around 50, yeah. The building 5 is a little bit bigger, but they're all just under 5,000, around 5,000.
So you've got to have a back door with ADA access, the back door. Because it's a required means of egress, because you're over 50 feet deep with the building.
The 50% of the exits on the building, there are 2 exits on the building. 50% of the exits on the building have ADA access.
I thought they all had to be, each unit.
No, I don't believe so.
I think so.
It's a percentage. It's a percentage of the
I don't
number of
think so.
exits. Okay.
Now, on a commercial unit, you have to be ADA accessible to that unit with ADA restrooms, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
So that means under more than 50 feet deep, you have to have front access and rear exit. Rear.
Are you
Sure.
talking about well, we can
Yeah,
kind of
I would
address that.
double check that. I
Yeah.
think the percentage of, Bill's right, you have to have 2. You've shown 2. It's my understanding that runs a building department that you only the front or 50% to your point. So just double check that.
We will.
Is what I would suggest.
Sure. Yeah, we don't want to strand anybody, but we don't want to build things that we don't need to build.
But that would mean that would mean you'd need sidewalk in the back.
It would, but
You need to check
we'll
that
double
out.
check it. We'll
Let's
double
check
check it. To your point, that's not a problem. Typically it's, you have 2, one's accessible. So, you want to talk any more about the site?
I have a question on site. Correct my memory, wasn't there a road curb in front of the buildings so that cars can just drive?
Yeah. I believe
And I,
it's stand-up curb.
I can answer that.
Yeah.
I show it on my drawing, but basically there's a 6-inch curb, but we also provide ramped access up to the entrances in conjunction with, or I should say, adjacent to the entrances into the space. So, and actually, you can kind of see it better on if you go up, Jesse, to that drawing right there. And so we've provided handicap access to each main entrance, but there's a 6-inch curb that tapers down to alongside those ramps. And so we didn't want to leave a lot of the front exposed. So anywhere where we can have a 6-inch curb, we have a 6-inch curb, but it is accessible.
and then I think another comment in the past was the sidewalk and the ambiance in front of the buildings lacked landscaping.
Sure, there's pretty limited space there for some ground planting, foundation planting. So we'll do what we can there, but we also don't want to necessarily trap, create a drainage issue by having a few flowers in the front. But as far as the strip of sidewalk though, it's, we're not setting this up as a strip mall, so it's not something that you walk from one end to the other necessarily. These are office buildings, and actually there are a whole bunch of different uses they're allowable in this. But it's not a strip mall that would require someone to walk from end to end,
So
except for throwing trash away at the end.
could you push, building 5, the stoops are already in the buffer. Could you push buildings 4 and 3 and maybe even 2? I don't know if that's say 5 feet further back, and that would allow more landscaping in the front of the building.
If that's permitted, I think that's something we can do and have some
think-
just low.
If that's a buffer, I think the DRB can approve that.
Okay. I think that would be, if we can do that, then and move forward, then I think that's doable.
You might could do that for the building on the south side too. I can't see what number that is, but
On the bottom?
Yeah.
Number one,
you could, looks like you have room between that and the
a
rear
little bit of
setback.
room there. Yeah, we try not to get too close to that, but we'll certainly take a look at it. I mean,
Yeah, just take a
we
look
all
at it.
want it to look as good as it can, so.
Yeah.
Within,
Might be 2 feet and it makes a difference.
Sure.
Makes a difference on the front.
all right. Any other site comments?
Is your roadway minimal? What's the width of the road?
The road.
What-
22.
Let's go to architecture.
Great. All right, so we've got, if you go up one more, Jesse, we've got 5 buildings here, and I think y'all reviewed this before. They're all similar. They are more or less, they use the same basic materials, but you're using different colors and different accents so that they're more like cousins instead of brothers and sisters. The one on the end, rather than kind of look at the 2D, it would be a lot easier just to go down to the renderings and you kind of see, because I kind of walk through the site with the renderings. Okay. So on your left, as you enter off of Central, now bear in mind that this development is not on Central Avenue. It has access from Central Avenue, but it's basically, if it were, you can consider it kind of like outbuildings from the Central Avenue project or outbuildings from the homes from behind it. So it is kind of nestled in there. And that's why, of course, we're trying to give special attention to the buffers. But a few things that we changed. Building 5 is kind of the first building that you hit. Hopefully nobody hit it, but that you would see as you come around in the entrance. And so it kind of created a sort of an anchor element on the corner with the brick, and then board and batten siding, and then the steel and wood canopies. There's wood around the windows wherever there's brick. We've got some nice stained wood there, and we'll look at the materials at the end. And so building 5 is the first one you see, and then building 1 is kind of set back. That's the one you were talking about, Chris, that kind of faces, the back of it is right next to the CPW pump station. So as we go to the next one, you can see there's building 5 again. Building 4 next to it is a little bit lighter. We are using brick and canopies at all the main entrances. We do have overhead doors on this, and that was discussed at the last meeting. To Becca's point, you know, the folks that move in here are going to need to meet the zoning, so she was good with it. But each of the canopies is different. We have some suspended canopies. We have some wood canopies. So we can go down a little bit further, Jesse. There's looking back at building 1. It faces the others. It's got board and batten siding and brick on the accents of the main entrances, and of course canopies anywhere people go in. Here we have buildings 3 and 2. So buildings 3 and 2 are kind of in the middle of the site. 3 and did I say 3 and 2 or 3 and 4? It was actually, there's 2 and 3. This is the last building on the end. We kind of just varied the entrances, but all of the entrances have brick and wood and aluminum storefront. The overhead doors are all wood. The canopies are wood and with a black standing seam metal roof on them. If you go to the next one, all right, so this one shows you, if you zoom out a little bit, Jesse, please. You can see that the buildings are cousins. I've got a map down there, a little plan down there to show you the building number. And so the buildings that have relatively the same colors are across from each other on here. And so 1 and 3, they're not directly next to each other. 2 and 5 are on the ends. And then building 1 is a little bit separate. And so that that is how this is developed. And love to entertain any architectural questions as well.
So again, I go back to the original concept I thought was these are literal garage doors that open up so that cars can go into the buildings. And therefore, that's why I asked about the row curb.
Sure.
And then also, then we got in discussion of landscaping, then we got into discussion of pedestrian safety. So
right.
Are these operable garage doors
Yes.
with the intent that a car will go inside?
A car can access the inside, yes.
Okay.
They're not like clean room doors that automatically open and close super fast, and so for the most part, they are for general commercial use, and we've got a bunch of different uses that would be allowed by the zoning that would benefit from having access to the outside like that. And so it may be that depending on the use, they don't have a car going in and out of there. It's not a drive-through. Drive-through is not permitted in this zoning. And so it's pretty low key as far as traffic into those spaces. They're all wood. And so they greatly enhance the front and we have it set up so that if the garage door is open, you'll be able to see if there's a car coming out or in. They're 5,000 square foot, so we're not talking about high traffic anything. So hopefully that answers your question.
Well, mainly for just backing a truck and unloading.
Yeah, they're great for
Or-
access, certainly for access. And then,
Yeah.
if you have
Not
a
gonna
beauty
keep a car
clinic
or a
or
truck in there, just
yoga studio or something like
unload
that.
pull out.
Yeah, it's
Bu-
not. it's not a
Building
major
one's got glass and overhead doors, right?
They all do. Yeah, you caught that. That was a good catch. There is glass in all the overhead doors.
Okay. Any other questions architecturally? Did you say you had samples or no?
I have a brick sample.
Chris, I think this rendering right here shows foundation plan. The rendering shows foundation plan in building one.
Can't trust
Yeah.
that rendering.
So do what?
I know, but I mean, the question.
Wishful,
could do
wishful thinking. Yeah,
Would be acceptable, correct?
That's only on one or two of the buildings. It looked
Well,
like
you could
there's
do that on
opportunity
any
for more.
buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to put something there. And so we'll take a look at that internally and we'll make it look.
I think one of the issues with pushing them back, I think the tree protection board wanted as much room as possible for those trees that were being left as existing in the rear. And so I think that was part of the reason for not approving that reduction to that buffer as well.
But we have the purview to approve the reduction.
Well, they've got a
Right.
10-foot wide sidewalk.
Right,
where they
but the
put a
tree
little
protection
planting
board does
bed
also
about
have
3
to approve
It's
any.
not 10, but
Yeah.
we can make that, I mean,
How
we'll have
wide
to
is
look
it
at
now?
it, but we can soften that the way that hits the ground as good as we can. I mean, there's
If
not
it
enough
was
room
8
for big
foot-
azaleas.
If it was an 8-foot sidewalk even, you'd still have 3 feet of planting you could put in there. Cause you only have to be 5 feet.
Sure.
Jessica, what were you saying?
I was just saying, y'all have the purview to reduce the buffer width, yes, but the tree protection board also has purview over how much you can impact the root zone of the existing trees.
Okay, thank you. So it would just be steady that.
Yes.
Okay, any other comments architecturally or site? Did you have a landscape plan?
Yes.
Can't recall, sorry.
I think this was the previous landscape plan. I don't believe we have one that reflects the
we,
updates.
I watched the last meeting a couple times and got the impression that the issue was more with the presentation of the landscape plan than the plan itself. And so we're paying special attention to the buffers. We're lining the road or the access drive coming into the site, trying to soften every perimeter edge that we can.
Can we see what the trees are on the entry road?
Sure, if you want to
And on
zoom in
that.
there.
I think those are.
Somebody
let's
with
keep
better
it-
eyes will have to look at that.
Some kind of oak.
Pink oak.
It's a pin oak.
Pin oak. Yeah.
Says pink oak. I don't believe it's pink. Probably
No.
pin oak.
It probably won't be pink, all in all, but it.
But yeah, I
will-
can do some
will-
things.
Pin oak.
If we could. I would support, and Jesse, this is a question too, is like. Move those closer to the road, especially on the,
To the
particularly on the
drive.
left-hand side.
Mhm.
Maybe it's 8 foot off the curb instead of literally in the buffer.
Sure.
And then let's try to make maybe some of those live oaks, which could change the spacing
Sure.
a little bit. And I think there's a potential to do it left and right, so the trees form a canopy over the road and they still provide that buffer. Instead of lining up with the property line on the
Okay.
right-hand side.
That sounds good.
Jesse, that sound provable from a code standpoint? Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Let me ask about building one.
Sure.
Is that prototypical with the garage doors?
All the garage doors are the same.
But
there
I
is
mean,
glass in it.
building one has garage doors also?
Yes,
So, but you're parking in front of those garage doors. And you're parking the handicap spaces in front of those garage doors.
No, on the left-hand side, there's no parking in front. But on the right-hand side, I don't think building one has garage doors.
you know, you should probably look at the site.
Well, that's
plan.
what I asked. Does building one have garage doors?
They do.
There's
Okay.
a couple of space in front of the garage.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah.
I was interpreting that this building one didn't have garage doors because there's no access, but it's okay. It's wrong on that.
Yeah, they're there.
Okay.
So what is your solution for parking directly outside those doors?
They just coordinate.
So
Let's try.
handicap,
I mean,
you gotta move?
I think the handicap takes precedence over the very limitedly used overhead doors. But
I guess,
It looks like they're double dipping with the access aisle for the ADA and then the non-parking in front of the.
isn't a win-win not to have garage doors on that one building? I mean, is that,
that would be up to these guys.
you
but-
need it at every space?
Something that we'd have to do.
Just don't put them in front of the garage doors.
My question is, since this is beautiful space, do we have to have the 51 parking spaces? Because if we can eliminate a couple of spaces, we can push that over. Shift it whatever way.
Sure.
Maybe that would help. But, is that something that we?
Well, it's 2 per 1,000 square feet. You got it right at 25,000 square feet. So you gotta have 50 ways. So you got one to spare and then we got one extra handicap that we not call a handicap.
Okay. So we can gain 2 or 3 spots? Is that?
I don't know until I sit down and see how they.
So if we had 49 spaces or 48, would that be okay for this application? Or is that something that? Parking space?
Yeah, we,
We'll talk
we
to
already have
Jesse.
a very low parking requirement, so I don't know that we can
Um,
reduce it any further.
We'll make we can make a modification of that, but you know, really, I see what you're saying. Obviously, you don't want to put out someone who needs the space. So, you know,
Possible. See, like, inside, like, streets, back corner.
yeah, I mean, we can.
Why don't you
look-
just relocate the handicap?
That's what I was gonna say, Bill. We can move them.
Because you have to have a pole sign that says handicap parking.
And it doesn't have to be right in front of that.
No,
Well,
No.
no,
just move them over. Yeah, get them out of the way.
it,
They don't have to be right there.
No,
it's at the building official's discretion. It's not at ours.
Sure.
The
Well,
code says it has to be in front of the use as most reasonably as possible. Now, that is an interpretation. That does not mean it has to be from that unit. So you got to be,
Well,
Right.
what I would suggest is you scatter them throughout.
Yeah, they
the
also
space.
don't have to all
Great
be
idea.
in front of the same building.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
actually, it would probably be better to have them scattered so that you have handicap access
Yes, ma'am.
closer to other buildings.
I would
Great.
look at it from the other, I think the problem that I'm seeing with this is reverse of what, Peter's looking at it. Yes, you're gonna take away a handicap parking space because you need to come and go and out of that space. I look at it as the other way around. You're now limiting your ability to use the roll up because I park there. I'm not handicapped. I park there. What are you gonna make me move?
Sure.
I mean, I think it's just problematic anytime you try to use two spaces for the same, or one space for two different uses.
Why don't we move them and just call it a day?
The parking spaces
Yeah.
entirely? I think that's a great
Right.
suggestion.
We'll do that.
But you're gonna need room for the access aisles.
I've built 50 of these projects like this. We'll put parking spots in front of the garage doors on all 50 projects.
hmm
And they all function fine. For the last 20 years, they've worked fine. It's
The-
not a concern.
If anything, it's evidence that we're not trying to plan something that has cars going in and out of the buildings all the time.
I would suggest that this is a code issue to be worked out with staff.
Okay.
Is that fair? Okay.
That's a good question.
Any other comments or questions? Architecture, Jesse, we need to look at the landscape plan again, please. And let's see the limits of sod versus seed. I would just say everything's supposed to be grass should be sod. Everything that is mulch needs to be pine straw mulch. And that fixes that issue.
Okay. Okay.
Does this landscape plan match the site plan? Because there's
That's
only
the
two
top.
spaces on this landscape plan.
There is there are some variations in the parking on that side. Yeah.
No, this is the landscape plan from the previous site plan. It does not reflect the slight changes that were made by the new engineer. But if y'all are comfortable, staff can certainly review the landscape plan to ensure that it meets all requirements and addresses y'all's requests.
All right. Well, so what is the most current site plan? We could go to that.
Scroll one up right there.
You all comfortable with that? Some of this being done at staff level.
You can still see that the buffer is still in place there. So
You still got 30 feet of
Yeah.
buffer there, so you got plenty of place for all that landscape.
sure.
And it's underground detention. It's like, okay. Yeah. All right. Any other comments? So they're requesting final approval.
Can I clarify something real quick? I
Sure.
know you made the request regarding potentially pushing these back a couple feet to add more landscaping in the front. So y'all are approving a couple feet of encroachment into the buffer,
Yes.
correct? Assuming that doesn't impact the trees negatively.
Correct.
Just
Yep.
making sure.
Couple of feet means that building wall or the concrete pads?
The wall. The wall can go.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
concrete pads are already up against the landscape
Sure.
buffer in most places. In fact, actually, building 5 already has their back patio or
That's right.
what's it's in the
I
landscape.
think the wall could go all the way to the buffer.
Okay.
And I think there's some flexibility there to be worked out with staff.
Sure.
I'm comfortable with that. So the conditions I have are more landscape along the front. Where would, the garage door issue would be settled by staff. Anything else?
Move the entry trees closer to the road and consider
Entry
making
trees. What was that?
Said something about grass and
Oh,
sod.
grass to sod
Yeah.
Grass sod.
and pine straw mulch. Anything else? No, no architectural. Peter, there wasn't anything. Lighting was not submitted, so we're not reviewing that. Okay, all right. They're seeking final approval. Is there I'll make a motion for final approval with conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, Jessica, gotta take a nature break real quick.
Thank you.
Next up would be 1120 Central Avenue. You can come up.
Yeah, they're just pop, they're all the same.
Just leave one for Campo.
I did just want to briefly go over this one because I know y'all have looked at a decrease in the buffer on this site previously. That was a different owner. And also a different request. So, staff has been working very closely with this owner to try and, come up with a plan that will work and
Hope to be on.
meet the requirements as closely as possible. So really this is, they don't have necessarily a final landscaping plan yet, but staff will work with them to make sure the final landscaping plan meets requirements as much as possible. But really the request in front of y'all is to reduce the width of the buffer and to allow parking in the front yard due to the constraints of the site. And so that is what is shown. So that's really what they're here before you for, is just y'all's granting exceptions. So that would be final approval with the condition that the final landscaping be approved by staff, but that y'all are good with reducing the buffer width and allowing the parking in the front as they have shown.
And I did take Justin Carpenter and Becca's comments and roll them into that
Okay.
new adjustment.
So what's on the screen does not immediately reflect what you have in front of you, because he did address comments that staff had already made.
And you'll see why in a moment. Welcome back.
I'm not repeating myself, Chris, I'm sorry.
So
Thanks for waiting.
of course, those of y'all that don't know me, I'm Justin Lee with Gilbert Lee Construction. I have the client right here. What they're doing is they're trying to purchase the property. So this is essentially gonna be based on y'all's, the acquisition of the property based on the reading today. So that's why we're trying to come to some sort of agreement so they can purchase the property and use it for the intended purpose that they're trying to use it for. Carolina Therapy works with children, with speech, and, you can kind of speak to that a little bit if you want.
Yeah, we're a PT, speech, and occupational therapy clinic. So we're currently located in the Midland Parkway area. I'm looking to relocate and really excited about this site, actually. We work with a predominantly Medicaid population, so a lot of people who, have kiddos with autism, that kind of thing, that don't always get to access backyards and, medical space that looks more like a home. So we feel like this is a really good fit for us. We're really excited about it, but yes, the main thing that we're asking for is a reduction on that landscape buffer. And in the backyard, I think we're requesting 10 feet. In that backyard, we want to have like a bike path out there. And put in some natural play spaces for the children to explore, you know, more natural environment. In a safe way and not have parking in that back space. So that's kind of why we need it in the front so that children are able to use that space therapeutically.
And also for the safety of the children, there is and this is Ashlyn Warren, by the way, and this is Robert Swanson. He's the realtor involved. So I wanted them to be here with me. That way they could kind of express the details of some of the reasoning why this is drawn the way it is. The previous owner did put a 6-foot privacy fence all the way around. We've had 2 meetings with Justin Carpenter and Becca Zimmerman on site. I was kind of thrown on last minute because Matt Halter decided to go put himself at the hospital. So I jumped in to help them get this site plan drawn up so they could submit it, because it is contingent on the acquisition of whether or not these are approved. So they obviously want to be there. The owners want to sell. They're kind of caught in the middle. Their lease is up. It's kind of a weird circumstance. So that's why I wanted to be here to present, to kind of explain some of the extenuating circumstances and why they are the way they are. The pervious surface out front, it is all 57 stone and GLBC right now. They said they would allow that with the parking spaces. Based on the drawing above, I did take Justin Carpenter's comments and sync them into the new adjusted site plan. I decreased the parking by 2 or 3 spaces up on the other, the top edge of the magnolia tree plan. Plan north, and pulled that away from the trees. They don't want to cut any trees on site. They want to leave everything wooded the way it is. And then, the buffer decreased to 15 on east and west, and then south would be the 10-foot. And they want to do that to create the play areas. And that with the double row plantings, which were Justin's requests, all between 3 gallon and 5 gallon. And I even changed the Eagleston and the Camellia and Azalea, to more align with, the local planting schedule. We have 65 of the Azaleas total, 8 of the Camellias, and then 18 of the Eagleston. And there's already 30 trees on site. And we plan on leaving all those, not cutting a thing. The only thing they're actually adding, other than just for the landscaping, would just be ADA handicap ramp coming from the spots. Just so, they give proper ADA access, and that would be to the side of the structure. There is a low window. So they would just convert that one window to a door, and that would be all the adjustments.
Would you consider 15 feet in the back instead of the 10?
We're really hoping for 10 feet in the back just to give the children more natural space to kind of, incorporate eventually maybe like some playground equipment, that kind of thing back there. As well as like a removable sand pit for some sensory play. So we do want to have as much space in that backyard as possible. In order to kind of like meet their proposed use. So ideally 10 feet, but I think if it's a deal breaker, we'll absolutely do 15.
And it is completely wooded in the back. You're probably 60% wooded to the right, and then probably 50 to the left, along with the 6-foot privacy fence, plus the additional understory trees. It is quite a buffer, even at the 10, but we understand if, 15 is the limit and contingent on approval. Obviously, we would like to have some sort of contingent.
That shed in the back, that's existing.
It's gone.
It's gone.
Shed back.
No shed.
Yeah,
Okay.
he shot this before the previous owner was moving some stuff, so that is not currently there. There's just a couple of mobile trailers back there that will be moved upon full purchase.
What's the minimum buffer width required by code?
The requirement is technically 30 feet.
Looks like staff has support for what was submitted.
Correct. Yeah, we've worked closely with them to try and meet the ordinances as best as possible. There is, like he said, the existing privacy fence And because the use back there is not gonna be like a building or anything, that just play areas, we feel it meets the intent of the ordinance.
And we do, I mean, operate within standard business hours of 8 to, 5:30 PM. Monday through Friday, Friday being a short day with 8 to 12, operation hours. So, never gonna have like outdoor lighting that's on interrupting neighbors at night, nothing shining back there, no loud noises, late at night, that kind of thing. So I think in terms of a business use, it's actually perfect for a residential area, because you're not gonna get a lot of that, outdoor lights, that kind of thing going on back.
And we have spoken with both neighbors. They fully support, and Ashland's actually made really close friends with one of the neighbors, and they were excited to hear that it was being used because it's sat vacant for a long time since the realty company has moved out of it.
Any concerns?
Yeah, I almost called it Becca. Jesse, what other uses are by right that would never come in front of us for this property?
So the property is zoned general business, so it does have a number of other uses that could be allowed in the future.
That's my concern.
But how? You say and staff says there's a lot of existing vegetation in the back that's just not being shown on the plans
Up to the fence line, which
on this property.
it is right at the edge. It looks like the fence is maybe 6 inches, 8 inches, a foot, maybe on. It shows it on here and it shows your dark line for your property line. The actual fence line sits in slightly, a few inches, but yes, it is heavily wooded, some of it being, and it is wooded up to the fence. So there is vegetation up to the fence.
Yeah, and if you look at the overhead GIS aerial footage, you can see there too. There's really only one existing neighbor, the yellow house that's right next door, in which I have a very good relationship with those neighbors. They've been nothing but kind. We did send letters to every one of the neighboring properties, but you can see the other side, adjacent property is vacant currently, as well as the one to the back of the property there. So you really from the backyard cannot see any other houses. There's no visible house from the backyard. The most visible residential place is that yellow house that's adjacent to us. And in that area, we have proposed, additional magnolia trees and that kind of thing to enhance the buffer.
Justin's point, if this 5 years from now, y'all leave and this becomes a U-Haul mini storage, would those neighbors still be happy? That's the problem.
Yeah, where we're coming from at it is we hope you're wildly successful. And this is, I'm in Jesse's role in another town. So in the grand scheme of things, my problem's not with everything you said. I think it's going to be awesome. But in 2 years, let's say you are wildly successful and you move to bigger digs. I'm worried about what can go in there by right. You say you're not going to have lights. You say you're going to do these hours. We can't condition that. But let's say it's a restaurant and let's say they do have outdoor seating. That's my only fear. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying I do have to look at the neighbors, not for you and your use, but for the next use, because this reduction, correct, Jesse, it doesn't go up if they leave. It's reduction for the property, not the use. That's my.
But you can still make it 15, you can still make it 15 feet, just don't put any planting there, so they could still have the grass and their sand lot and all that. They just do the planting with.
Yeah, you can still reduce it to 15 feet and just say that, you're okay with the last 5 feet not having any planting at the,
That's fine. I
so
thought
that you're not
30
allowing.
is enough.
Asking for 10. Give me, go to 15, shoot, we could go to 30, just put the planting in that 10 feet.
Yeah, that would be, 15 on the sides and 10 in the back, but if you did 15 on the back and we were allowed to kind of use that 5 feet, I would be very comfortable with that.
Well, you're not thinking of any structure, any permanent structure back there, right? It's
No.
just
Nothing.
amenity.
That's what.
It's just a safe place for the kids. That's why they wanted to keep it condensed and, out of line of sight, and obviously it's safe for the children, so.
Sounds good.
All right, I'll make a motion that we go to 15-foot buffer reduce it from 30 to 15, sides as submitted. And if you want to put your planting within that 10 feet instead of 15, I have no issue with that.
That's much appreciated.
Yeah. So is there a second for that?
Hold on, can you also make sure you approve the parking in the front, please?
Yes.
In the parking in the front.
Thank you.
All right, so Jesse, would that be final approval? Or how's that work?
That would be final approval of those exceptions.
Okay.
I think they need a sidewalk front porch too.
Anything that's required for code, they will address.
We'll cross-
They are just before y'all for those exceptions.
We'll work that out with staff.
Okay.
And it does depict that. We have one that runs right to the edge and there's a small planting bed, but yes, to your point, absolutely, there will be one.
All right, is there a second? Did we already second?
Yeah, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all so very much. Have a good one.
Take care. All right. Next is 805 Bacon Ridge Road redevelopment for new McDonald's. I'm gonna recuse on this one.
What?
You're in charge.
Got it.
I'm gonna sit in the back.
A new apartment. What's like Chris Carpus?
Good evening, everyone. My name's William Marshall with Integrity Engineering, project engineer for McDonald's, and I'm here with Eric Feltman. He's the construction project manager for the site. All right.
And briefly, before we get started, I just wanted to remind y'all this is conceptual for them. So no motion needed, but as much feedback as possible.
Okay. Do you mind going to the Alta survey? I think it's the next page. And then zoom into the tax map on the left, top left. The color map, just to show proximity. So we're here kind of wedged in between Bacon's Bridge Road on the west side and then Old Trolley Road on the east. This is probably one of the most oddly shaped parcels I've seen in a while. There's a rear access drive that goes out to Old Trolley Road, so that's why it's kind of a flag lot in a way. But it's been a vacant site. It was formerly owned by Wells Fargo. They've closed and it's been vacant for probably almost 5 years. So we are proposing to come in, redevelop the site and build a McDonald's here. And then if you can go back to the concept plan. So overall, we're generally keeping the same access network here. We have an access drive off of Bacon's Bridge Road on the south, and then cross access between Walgreens to Old Trolley Road, planned north. We're obviously scraping the entire lot, putting new curb, gutter, asphalt, a new building. And then we'll have a double stack drive-through lane with 2 menu boards, 2 pre-browse boards that will merge into 1 lane and wrap around the building. Overall, the front of our building will be facing the main road frontage. So a lot of the drive-through windows, menu board, drive-through lanes will be hidden from public view. And then this site does sit about 10 feet above road grade. So that will also kind of screen some of the drive-through elements as well. I think the main concern with staff when we had a pre-application meeting, which it's been probably about a year now, but from what I recall, it was the existing live oaks and trees on site. So we've sent an arborist out. They've identified 106 trees above, I think it's 8-inch diameter at breast height. And that should be shown on the tree preservation plan. Yes, so on the right side of this plan, we have our tree table, which identifies the species, size, condition of all the trees. And then any of the trees that you see here with an X are ones that have to be removed due to the redevelopment. Like I said, we're still keeping the general access points the same as what Wells Fargo had, but internally to the site, a few things are different with our layout. For instance, they had 4 drive-through lanes and they were at the rear of the building as you come around to the bank teller. And then ours is kind of on the side. So anyway, the ones you see with the X's are the ones that are being removed. And then a lot of the ones along the perimeter can remain, unless they're of bad health. We are proposing those to be removed. And then the landscape planning plan is actually 2 slides above this, I believe. So we're planting back any mitigation credits that are required based on removal of those trees, as well as even more because what's there today does not meet the current ordinance as far as tree density. So there's actually going to be a lot more tree density on site than what's there today. And I think we're doing 2 live oaks along the front. Those are shown by the large circles. And then we've got some sweet gums and other species as well. Excuse me. And then even on the northwest side, going through the Walgreens cross-access driveway, we are doing some live oaks along there too. That's currently a parking lot and it's not being used. It's overgrown, bad condition. So we're proposing to just sod that, plant more trees. And then on the concept plan, we're showing another monument sign up there as well along Old Trolley Road for visibility of the business. So I guess other items. So stormwater, there's an existing stormwater detention pond on the southwest corner of the site. And we've modeled it and we're reducing impervious area compared to the Wells Fargo. So the pond will function. It does need to be dredged, cleaned. It's probably been 20 years since it's been properly cleaned. But we will be required to submit to town engineering to make sure that that pond meets the current, detention and water quality standards required. So, there is no ADA access currently for the Wells Fargo building. So we are proposing an ADA route to Bacon's Bridge Road. However, with the grades being extremely steep, we kind of have to do a switchback ramp there to keep the grades right. And that's why that existing live oak up there did have to go, but we're planning another one behind the switchback ramp to replace it. So, and then we'll have a monument sign along Bacon's Bridge Road as well. I think I've covered most everything. We have foundation plantings as well along the building. So from a civil site side, I think that covers it for me.
What are you over parked or what's the parking counts versus what we need versus what you've provided?
I believe the minimum is 13 or 14 and we're at 34. So we're over parked by code. Really, we can't go under 30, 31 for the business operation standpoint of things. At that point, we wouldn't have enough parking, but
okay. So even your minimum, you're still 4 over, right?
Yes.
So we're losing a 21-inch tree along that plan left side. And we can't lose a parking space or 2. Why not?
Do you mind going to the tree preservation plan? Or is it shown on here?
No, it's not, but you do have additional plantings there, but I'm worried about it maturing.
Okay.
Yeah, there you
That
go.
one there.
96.
So we thought about putting an island there, like kind of like wrapping the parking out to make an island there. But there's also a lot of grading that's going on there. So we'll need to look at if the grading will get into the critical root zone. of the
Yeah, I mean,
area
this
as
is
well.
up on a hill. I live right here. It's not, I mean, I'd take a golf cart through here with a 4-year-old, so it's not terrible.
Tree 96, I think.
Yep.
We'll do what we can to put an island in and kind of get rid
Yeah,
of
I mean,
that
there's a lot like 56 and 55. I know again grading, but that dumpster enclosure could move and angle more to leave that one alone. I just know it's a heavily wooded site. I'd like to do everything we can to keep the landscaping there. It's actually really pretty. I'm surprised it's not being reused as a bank. It just doesn't have a lot of. You can't see it from the road. It's up on a hill, but you can't see it from Bacon's Bridge, and you definitely can't see it from Old Trolley. Cause like I said, I cut through that Walgreens probably, I don't know, every couple days on a golf cart. So I'm very familiar with the site, but anything we can do to keep the existing live oaks, particularly anything over 15, 16 inches for sure, if not more, I think we need to explore that.
So basically, any of the ones that are kind of on the fringe, we'll do what we can to
yeah.
accommodate those. There's obviously the ones like 97 that, you know, and 96 that
In the middle of a drive aisle, I get that. From a site perspective, where loading's an issue with my McDonald's that
Mhm.
I think y'all actually did, if I'm not mistaken, the one in Monk's Corner in Fox Bank. Where does the 18-wheelers park for deliveries?
say that one more time.
18-wheeler deliveries?
They'll come to the inside drive-through lane by the ADA spaces in off hours.
All right, and how do they get on? Because they're not coming, they're not making that jump up from Bacon's Bridge. Are they going to be coming in from Old Trolley?
No, I think we're showing, and I don't have a truck access plan here, but we modeled it off of Bacon's Bridge.
Okay.
And we can submit a truck access plan as well.
I'd like to see that just because to your point earlier, you know, if you have grade changes that are pretty significant, 18-wheeler jackknifing, and that risk goes up.
And also, if we can't model a truck on this site, like McDonald's, they're not going to go there either. So, because they can't deliver food.
I'm not worried about it getting on site. I'm worried about which entrance it uses.
Oh, the entrance.
Yeah, because the Bacon's Bridge is like that.
Mhm.
Old Trolley's not, it's flat. The backside of Old Trolley. In fact, the entrance you're gonna be using at Walgreens is the one I use all the time. So
are you against us using one or the other? Like, is there a preference or?
I don't know. I just like to know. I mean, I'd like to know more about it before I have an opinion.
I feel like Old Trolley is going to be easier based on the
Probably. The issue with Old Trolley is that entrance, the reason why I use that is directly across the street from a neighborhood entrance.
Yeah.
Whereas the other problem with it is the entrance for the bank, you have a strip center with a nail salon, Chinese restaurant, then you have the Harris Teeter entrance offset. That the Walgreens entrance is roughly right where that arrow says. Bearing calls the adjuster's property corners at the very bottom, plan bottom left. If you caddy corner to that, kind of right across the street from the north arrow, that's the Harris Teeter entrance. And obviously we know the Harris Teeter with the 7 Brew and everything else. Ma'am?
That little narrow Harris Teeter.
Yeah, that Harris Teeter that backs up to Berlin G. Myers and the Greenway. Yeah, because I come through I pick up my prescriptions right there. Glad to see the old bank being reutilized, but I do want to protect those live oaks if we can.
Do you have a grading plan sheet in this one?
We did not submit one for the concept plan, but we do have a grading plan. It's just
Yeah, the first thing I saw were the switchback ramps, and I'm like, oh man, how much?
Yeah.
And you say 10 feet higher, so that access aisle off of Bacon's Bridge is probably pretty steep, right? I mean,
Yeah.
8
And
8+
actually,
percent.
I think we've pushed things back towards the rear even further than Wells Fargo to try and make that driveway even shallower than what it is today.
That's the existing driveway right now, right?
Yes, sir.
So you just used the existing driveway.
We are,
to the back.
we still will be required to do a traffic analysis
Yeah.
by staff, but that'll have to wait till school returns in session to get traffic.
I got like 4 TIAs lined up for that day.
How many golf cart trips per day does this site have?
It's probably just me. I'm probably the only idiot who does it. During daylight hours, obviously only, but yeah, that's one of the reasons why I go through the Walgreens is because you go up, you got a couple speed bumps through there right now, and then you got to go straight down going to Bacon's Bridge. So it can be kind of gnarly.
How do you deal during rush hour queuing in your drive-through with cars parked there and they want to get out? How do they get out?
So the 3 spaces kind of at the north, but near the building. Those are typically employee spaces, and then the ADA spaces, those would be used by customers, but we're happy to provide a peak hour queuing analysis. I can tell you, and I should have submitted a queuing plan, but we'll have about 22 cars by the time you get to the second ADA space, which means you'll probably have about 16 to 18 cars stacked before the ADA spaces. If that makes you feel any better, but we can produce a queuing analysis with the TIA as well. That is a good question, because you like to have the ADA spaces as close to the building as possible so people don't have to walk across the drive-through lanes, but then you have potential for having to wait a few minutes to get out. So.
Are you against, so one thing, and I know McDonald's tried this in the late 2010s, and I think they went away from it, but we did this in High Point. You had your 2 lanes next to the building.
With no parking against the building?
No, you had the parking on the other side of the
Yeah.
queuing lanes. Now, granted, you don't, people have to your point, you have to walk through the queuing lane to get your space, but to Peter's point, and I agree with this, you don't have to wait for it to clear for you to get out if you're handicapped. Because I think Peter's right, you're kind of in trouble. If I'm there and I've had a handicap placard and it's 5 o'clock, I want to park there because I think it's obviously my right, my need, but I gotta go to a doctor's appointment. I gotta get out.
Get out.
Yeah.
Does McDonald's still use that template, or has that gone by
Yep.
the wayside?
That is an option. On this site, we wanted to keep the handicap close to the building and then kind of stretch the parking width wise, because you have a little bit more width to stretch the parking than depth. I know the site looks steep, but that whole front area is pretty much unusable other than the pond.
Yeah, no, Chick-fil-A doesn't have their handicap right next to the building, does it? The one in
I don't know.
corner doesn't.
Probably not. Based on the ones I've gone to.
It's on the other side. Yeah, like I said, code as close as reasonably possible. I get that.
It's a double-edged sword with
absolutely.
this layout.
No sidewalk connection to, is that off property? It appears that way, right? The old trolley entrance
It is. There's a 30-foot
easement. Copy.
But we're showing a sidewalk to the parking spaces, but I'm not sure how we would get a sidewalk all the way down to Old Trolley, or up rather, but.
It's a stupid question. Is this going to be managed by the same ones that run North Main Street?
That ran North Main?
The franchisee.
Carnes or Monk's Corner?
I'm sorry, Monk's Corner. No, I'm sorry. Somerville, thank you.
Nexton? The next?
No, the one that's not Main, as 17A. It's called Main Street, right?
There's a good chance, but we are far away from selecting an operator.
Copy that. Okay.
I think if you guys can support it, it might make sense to wrap that sidewalk around just at the back of those spaces, that parking bay plan west.
Is the Live Oak or the sidewalk, which?
Yeah, well, I know Justin wants you to keep it, but. What size is it? You know, off the top of your head?
Is, if you go to the 96, 20.
Oh, okay. Maybe you could bend the sidewalk around it.
Yeah. Just go around.
Make a nice little weaving path. Reason why I bring it up is just because if folks do end up parking in that parking bay, they're walking along this cut through drive aisle that's also supporting traffic from Walgreens. It's 2-way. It's a different situation than people crossing the parking internal to the one-way direction of the main site. And then for the dumpster enclosure, what is that area planned north?
That's a storage shed.
Just like for what, I guess, for what types of materials are
mainly,
used?
Maintenance equipment that, needs to be stored out there.
Okay.
I think the health department will regulate what's allowed in there, whether, like chemicals, cleaning chemicals, stuff like that.
Okay.
I think Mop Bucket was the one they added on to that one 2 months after they built the one at Fox Bank because they didn't add that little room. And we asked that same question. They told us mop buckets and additional, not dry goods, but things that didn't really need to be stored inside.
Gotcha. Reason asking is because I think you're gonna get a better alignment for the trash trucks if that dumpster enclosure and that maintenance area were flipped. But also realize you've got that door access on the side of the dumpster enclosure, so maybe that's not feasible.
Yeah,
Just something to study.
I know, we mentioned an angled dumpster there regarding tree number 57. I'll make note of that and we'll figure out the best solution.
Where's the grease trap going?
The grease trap is actually shown very lightly. If you zoom in near the handicap spaces, it's not in the handicap spaces, but it's north of them. Right there. And we've got an existing sewer stub kind of near the ADA switchback ramp.
And that's fenced in? Is it above ground grease trap or below ground?
It'll just have 2 manhole lids and it'll be underground.
Are you gonna show us the building?
Yes, I'm not the architect and the architect is not here, but I will relay any information to them that's provided. So the top elevation here, that's the one that's going to be facing Bacon's Bridge Road. That's what we call the front elevation. And then the non-drive-through elevation, that'll be facing east towards the ADA parking spaces. And then the drive-through elevation will be facing west towards Walgreens, and the rear will be facing, I say plan west and then plan north. The rear will face plan north towards AutoZone.
What's the wall material?
So we have a brick water table and then hardy plank above it. And then battens on the corners and then kind of intermediate battens to break up the facade as well.
Hardy batten.
Say that again.
Hardy plank, board batten.
Oh,
It says aluminum batten is what it says.
yeah, it's an aluminum batten, but hardy siding.
So it's metal.
Yes, sir.
The dark colors are metal.
The brown
Yeah.
battens are metal. I believe the dark color where the arch sign is ephes, possibly. It should be labeled on the top with the little squares.
McDonald's still customizes their building to fit a regional context, correct?
We can make alterations to meet standards. And actually, it's funny, all the projects we discussed before that were discussed, it seemed like y'all kind of had an idea like, okay, you wanted to match this next door, but it seems like everything in this corridor is a little bit older and it's kind of hard to be like, oh, I want to match this strip mall that's like from the 1970s. So any feedback or anything, we can bring to our architect as far as color palette, stuff like that.
I think one of the themes, and Peter, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that we're trying to go for, and we have said tonight, and we've said before, is Somerville centric and making sure that it fits in Somerville. And that's not exactly low country, but it's definitely uniquely us. And to Peter's point, this is, I kind of want to ask what makes this different than any other prototype they use. Is this just the out of the box elevations, or is this an attempt to make it Somerville? And I think it really needs to be studied on what it looks like. Peter, sorry.
I would say you need to make attempt to make it unique. A brown box is not unique. There's a lack of detail. lack of roof lines. I think the color is probably too dark. And I think, you know, yes, the area is mostly commercial 1960s. And you want to stand out from that. You don't want to blend in. So I think you need to take a look at some regional architecture. We understand the McDonald's, you know, brand. I don't think you're gonna lose that by having a unique building at this location.
Peter, would an appropriate example of what we're looking for in this area not be directly across the street with the Seven Brew and the revitalization that we saw with the Hair Cedar?
I think you want to be more contemporary. I mean, I believe that's, you know, as opposed to old fashioned low country residential scale. I think you want to be contemporary. I think you want more bold roof lines, more bold canopy projections. On some of the windows, you do got to deal with, you know, Somerville heat gain. So, you know, Bermuda shutters would be a simple way to make it regional. And I think you still can't, you know, if this is McDonald's, I don't know, did you do Nexton? Did you work on Nexton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nexton is different than this. Nexton's a little brighter, a little more angular. So that's why I say I'm sure there is potential for McDonald's to get a little more creative. And I think this area could use a shot in the arm.
Well, I think the Fox Bank one has parapets that go above the door, and then they have nice cornices above
Right.
that. So, I mean, we can dress this up to the contemporary style. I think you're right. Just good, you know, like you said, you wanted feedback. I think we can,
And I don't know, are you from the area? Maybe you
No,
can
sir.
visit some of the contemporary locations of quick service restaurants around the town. I can't think of any.
yeah, do you have a,
Probably Nexton
yeah.
would be a good example. Drive through Nexton.
How's the Taco Bell on Main? Wasn't that redone with Bahama shutters and some stuff? Like it looks different. It's not a typical Taco Bell. Which one?
One in Oakbrook,
No, the one in on
it does have shut, does,
I think
on
it
Main
does.
Street.
I thought it did. Did it not?
It has a really nice, you know, painting on it, but
It does have your mural. You're right. Maybe I'm getting
I
confused.
think there is something that's got the shutters, so I can think about it.
I mean, this looks like the exact same one at the very end of Old Trolley.
Mhm.
I mean, it looks like a mirror image.
Yeah, but Bahama shutters do soften it, and make it look more in context with our town. Maybe able to use those some way.
Okay. And I'll just add, I'm kind of panning around on the street view on my phone, and it seems like it's pretty well buffered on all sides. So I don't think you need to necessarily look at something that's right next to it and imitate that. Like you can take this opportunity to produce something that Peter's describing that, you know, can be unique and be something that folks can be like, oh, did you go to the new McDonald's yet? It looks great. That kind of thing.
And the shopping center right there does have EFS, so we're not saying get away from EFS, I don't think, but it does use some brick and a lot more brick than just the water table. Like a lighter, like soften it. I don't.
Is
that's all.
EFS permitted, Jesse?
We allow a certain percentage of
Okay.
EIFS or stucco. I believe this falls below.
So just pay attention to those requirements.
Understood.
Bill, what do you think about the aluminum on the side, the metal sided that you asked about earlier?
Metal side,
Yeah, what do you think?
I think it looks good. You know, the
From a maintenance standpoint, it's easy.
Flux project that we just looked at, that would be a good design, and we go with this.
Yeah, hell,
One on Central Avenue.
Yeah.
It almost looks like a wood when you're in the parking lot. But it doesn't have the rotting issues, you know.
Well, neither does Nietzsche High. However you pronounce it.
Were you thinking of any outdoor patios or no?
Not really. And the
Okay.
main reason is because we're kind of pushed
Sure.
back and like then it drops off very quickly at the front. So we actually were gonna try and get some parking where behind the pond where those two crepe myrtles are. But
So what is happening at the front there
those
of the
will
building?
be foundation plantings. I think the landscape plan should show some ground cover and plantings.
Okay.
Yeah, the McDonald's on Main's all brick.
Mhm.
The whole thing
And
is.
that's all redone too.
Yeah. It clearly, no disrespect, but it clearly looks like they tried. The monument sounds great too, but we're not talking about monument sounds. Yeah, I think more color, at least in terms of lightening it. That one's all brick. I think it would be wise for your architect to kind of sit down or drive around town and see the newer stuff. To your point, Jesse, how long ago was the Harris Cedar Shopping Center done? That was relatively recently, hasn't
What
it?
was that?
The Harris Cedar Shopping Center.
I did that one. We did about 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah, I was about to say it's not 20 years old.
No, I mean.
No, it's not
a
20
whole
years
new
old.
Harris Teeter store.
Yep,
At one time it was the Marshalls. That's what it started out being.
that explains the size.
Then became Piggly Wiggly. They moved out. Oh, Walmart was in there. Then we took Walmart out and put Walmart over at North Main Market where they, in a 48,000 foot store, which is now 220,000 square feet.
When you said Walmart, I thought you meant neighborhood market because there was a 48,000 square foot Walmart that just blows my mind. That is so small. Such a small Walmart.
Well, no, it was a standard size Walmart in 1985.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's been a few years.
Little history lesson.
Yeah, I think at least for me, lighten up the building, research what has been approved recently in the area. I think you got a good point in the area, but this is a chance for us to revitalize the area, shot in the arm. I think that was what you said. I think we need to take a good hard look at the trees though. Like I said, I drive through there. I drive past it every day. Those trees are beautiful. It adds to the character of the site, in my opinion. And without saving the trees, I think this is going to be very challenging to get approved. You are looking at
How about some of the coffee shops we've approved?
the Seven Brew.
Several of the coffee shops. we approved
Yeah, the
recently.
what was the one we looked at on Main Street near
Was it Dutch
Walmart?
Brothers or something?
Dutch Brothers. Yeah, Dutch Brothers.
Seven Brew.
Yeah, that is a Seven Brew too, isn't it? Crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've approved a few coffee. That was a drive through, several coffee shops on Main Street.
And then to Peter's point,
Right
next
across the street, right at the Cedars parking lot.
Mhm.
There's a coffee shop there.
I think we're confident
Don't like
that, again, I can't think of any shining example. But I'm sure we've opened the door for you and McDonald's creativity that I'm sure they can do something fantastic.
Yeah,
I
agree.
So I think that's the message. We're open the door. Make sure you do have some low country details, and it could be as simple as the hurricane shutters, some nice roof planes, canopy planes, brighten up the color.
Okay.
Color change.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But I think or massaging the site to save all these trees, it has to happen. I don't know how we. No disrespect to McDonald's, this would be easier for me to get to than the one on Main. I don't want to lose those trees and a different user.
I think they need to come back with a grading plan. Because
Yeah, fair.
once we see the site grading, that can kind of dictate what
but-
trees they can work around to maintain and which ones they have.
Yeah,
to
but it's a
take out.
developed site now with a decently sized bank, right? So this is probably what, 4,600 square foot building. The bank is probably 5,000. So, and to your point, you're actually,
It's a big building.
it's a very big building. And to your point, you're actually reducing your ISA. So I don't disagree. I think Jared's right. Let's get a grading plan to see kind of movement on traffic and what all we're losing. But
3 slides down. Just
I
the
think the
survey.
site needs to be, this is our chance to have a very creative site for an end user like McDonald's where they can champion saving trees that are so vital to this community.
Are you looking for the existing Wells Fargo survey? Were you looking for the survey of the existing site? It's one more down.
Yeah.
Yep, right there.
So this is a conceptual review, so we don't vote. Do you have any other questions for us that you can go back to your team?
I think I've got some pretty good notes on
Good.
comments, but I just really a question about the overall process, just so I understand the approval process. So I know we're in.
I think you should review that with staff.
Talk to her. Okay.
She'll help you.
Okay. I think I have a general idea, but I just want to make sure I understand. So
Okay. Well, thank you.
Alrighty.
We're excited.
we appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Bye. You coming back, Chris?
He's got his glasses here. He's got to come. These are
Make a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn, second.
second.
All those in
Aye.
favor? Aye.
Ready? Oh, my. Long day. Yeah, that's okay. We're all.
You guys next month.
Yeah, I mean, the McDonald's at Fox Bank.
So that kind of tells the story. That would be helpful. But that's what.
Oh, I still am.